kind of lost
Good
interest after a
evening,
few rounds, so I
everyone.
switched to
I
the
am Woodrow
eight.
Bogutsky, and I'm joined by the person who punked me out in a previous middle school league, Robert. How is everyone doing today?
I'm doing great, and I am proof that any punk with a ham sandwich can get there when they're lucky.
Necro is a good card, but it turns out, despite both of the decks of our players on screen right now, heavily featuring enchantments, the powerful 3 black mana enchantment is in neither of their decks. What do we
This
have
is
going on here,
true.
Robert?
Well, Lorian and Jake, right before we got them all set up, had a short conversation and said, "Hey, I heard you're playing Enchantress," and Lorian's like, "Yeah, I hear you're playing Enchantress too." And so now we're going to figure out if they're playing the same version of Enchantress, if they've got different colors other than green and or white. Sometimes they play blue, but right now we have the Enchantments Matter matchup to start off our second half of our league.
All right, so this is actually pretty exciting because who's on the left here? That is Lorian has dropped Earthcraft, and so one way this matchup could go is both players like start drawing a zillion cards and like nothing happens. Another way the matchup could go is someone just Earthcraft Squirrel's Nest and they just infinites their opponent and ends the game right away,
Yep.
which would be pretty wild. But neither of these decks is really very good at stopping anything from happening. So we could definitely just get like punked out on turn 3, and I think that might be what's
Is that what's happening?
No,
Okay.
wrong.
They're going to play fair magic.
All right,
So
yeah.
Lorian doesn't have the Squirrel's Nest. He's got the Enchantress's Presence, which still lets him
that's
draw
definitely
cards.
keeping things on book.
Yeah.
Yeah. So both players have their engines online, and so what's great about these decks is they're playing Enchantress, and they play these enchantments, and they have these cards like Enchantress's Presence or Gothian Enchantress that draw a card every time you cast an enchantment. Even if the enchantment is like countered, you still draw the card. And these cards are Gothian Enchantress has Shroud, and Enchantress in Presence is just an enchantment. These cards are very hard to interact with. So once you get these engines online, you're just like drawing extra cards every turn. Here we are. That's what we're doing right now, and we're just going off. And the game gets really silly because Magic doesn't make sense with both players are drawing like 3 or 4 cards a turn, which is exactly what's going to happen.
So we've seen Lorian on the play with his mana advantage by being on the play. He played an Earthcraft. Jake caught up by playing the Fertile Ground, and now they're kind of at parity. They both have their card engine drawers, and Lorian is broken serve with the game-ending combo.
Yeah, so Lorian's going to make like infinite squirrels. So for those who don't know, Earthcraft lets you tap a creature to untap a land, and Squirrel's Nest is tap this land to make a squirrel. Funny story, when you have these 2 enchantments in play, you can just make infinite squirrels. So this is basically next turn, Jake is going to get attacked by infinite squirrel tokens. So Jake needs to do something, needs to show something exciting here. I think there might be a Worship in Jake's deck.
Worship, Solitary Confinement would be good enough here with the 2 draw engines potentially. Elephant Grass would be fine.
Oh yeah,
they still have to pay to attack. Yep.
So the Jake definitely has a lot of play. And part of the reason these decks are called Solitaire is, yeah, you would get your draw engine online, and then you just hide out behind Solitary Confinement where you just can't be interacted with. But running...
This isn't good enough.
Mana.
We've got what, 2 mana floating?
Okay.
Okay.
This extra mana, we're definitely doing all the things.
Draw cards. Okay, this is exciting. We're digging for Elephant Grass and or Solitary Confinement.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we have another enchantment, we can just crack the Sterling Grove, put the Protection enchantment on top of our library, then place some other enchantment, draw it, and cast it. So we're very, very close to just, playing Pillow Fort and hiding out behind some goofy enchantment that stops us from getting killed.
We have the mana for certain to get Elephant Grass and crack and play an enchantment. I don't know if we have enough mana to do all that with Solitary Confinement.
Yeah,
but Jake's going to count mana for us here.
Oh, no. We've got like all these rebuys. Because, the Seal of Cleansing bounces are...
Oh, sure. So we have more mana this way.
Yeah, we have tons of mana. Man,
okay, so...
If we have another enchantment in our hand, I think we can Pillow Fort it up. And then just hide out behind our Elephant Grass or Solitary Confinement and just not worry about infinite squirrels. So when that happens, which it clearly seems like that's where we're going, it'd be very strange in our deck of like 30 enchantments not to have any enchantments in our hand.
Right.
And that happens. I think each deck has like a single seal of cleansing that it can potentially tutor up and then blow
Sure.
up to solitary confinement and attack for lethal.
So do we think of those three options, we have Elephant Grass, Solitary Confinement, or Steely Cleansing, or apparently Earthcraft. That was not on our bingo card of cards to grab
Okay.
from here. So do we think Jake has his own
But the way the combo works is the squirrels will be tapped. They won't get to block.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, this is
so
true.
there's got to be another piece to this puzzle. By itself,
Are
making
we
our own
gonna
infinite squirrels won't do anything. I mean,
untap land with?
we get to make a lot of mana. We definitely have that.
Yeah,
So
but we
we're
had mana.
drawing
I
all these
guess.
cards.
Do we? Well, we have another Sterling Grove, so I can see why.
Oh, okay. No, Sterling Grove means that we're not
Yeah,
colded
we're.
out by a single disenchant effect.
Yep.
So now we're rapidly approaching the hard lock. Where once that happens, I mean, I think we lose by accidentally decking ourselves. It is important to note these enchantress effects are not May. You must draw the card. So we will be in a situation where we have to start being very cognizant of the number of cards left in our library.
So if we are counting turns, this is turn 4.
Yeah.
So shows you the power of Enchantress. Lorian's presenting a game-ending combo on turn 4, and Jake has seen how many cards out of his deck so far already? Okay, now we have the Words of Wind, so now maybe Jake just wins this turn. If he thinks he's got the momentum, we're drawing 2 cards every time we play a spell.
Words of Wind doesn't work because how it works is instead of drawing a card, you can have each player bounce a permanent. That doesn't work when your opponent has infinite permanents. Yeah. So
okay.
I don't think Words of Wind is going to be able to break this up. I'm confident with the ample resources that Jake has, something will present itself. But yeah, Words of Wind would usually be pretty good here because you just bounce all your entire opponent's board basically. But now because Lorian
infinite
has
permanence
infinite squirrels,
stops that.
That's not going to work.
Okay, well, we're gonna draw cards. We still have an untap. We've cashed in both of our tutors. Do we just think we don't have just the answer? I mean, I guess we're worried our opponent could also just draw into Seal Cleansing, and
right.
But Solitary is Shroud, so like Solitary is fine.
No, Solitary for Confinement by itself does not have Shroud.
Oh, right.
That's what the Grove is for. The Grove gives us that's a Shroud. It is also important to note because Words of Wind lets you not draw a card. Jake is in a situation where he doesn't have to worry about potentially decking themselves. So that like accident kill myself option is off the table. And so now we're going to illustrate some sort of loop, I suspect. No, we still need to draw an enchantment to keep this loop going.
Yep.
But we can make a lot of mana. A lot of mana can get made.
I mean, we could bounce Enchantress's Presence and still draw a card every turn.
We could,
if we want to. I mean, I don't know if that's where we want to be.
We're gonna make a lot of mana. So every time we play an enchantment, we draw 2. We forego one of those draws to bounce the Cloud of Fairies. It is important to note that Lorian is actually bouncing one of his infinite squirrels during this exchange. Just nobody cares.
Well, then yeah, I guess we don't even have to tap the squirrel's nest to even make that happen. We can shortcut. So
yeah,
I'm looking at Jake's list, and I'm trying to see what the end game is.
Is there a Stroke of Genius in the list or something goofy like that? And it sounds goofy, but Stroke of Genius would just be like, win. You could just deck out Lorian right now. I don't think I'm seeing anything of that nature.
No, I don't see anything like that too. I see some options. We'll see. There's an Aura of Silence, which we might be able to use to destroy this. The Seal Cleansings we could draw into. We do have the Elephant's Grass or the Worship, but Worship is weak to his opponent's Seal Cleansings.
We need to set up for Sterling Grove plus a Worship effect, so that way we don't just insta lose to a single Seal of Cleansing.
Yeah.
And we have so many resources that I think that we can afford to like. It looks like we're being goofy here, but this is correct. Um, we basically don't want to die this turn because
Right.
in the following turn, like it seems like somehow something will happen. All right, so this is part of it.
Okay, this
Step
is the
one,
third Sterling Grove. So
Sterling
there's
Grove.
4 in the deck. We need
Yeah, it's
to.
four in the deck. There's no replenishes in the main deck, so we got to be aware of that as well. We can't just rebuy all these Sterling Groves. Um, and there's no enlightened tutors, so we can't go looking for the warship. We just
Right.
have to kind of raw into it or draw into it with our Sterling Grove, which is what we seem to want to be avoiding right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the chances of getting the 4th Sterling Grove are low, so keeping this one in play makes a ton of sense.
Uh,
Um, especially if you want to have both, then everything is Shroud forever,
yeah.
which is
Uh,
not irrelevant.
yeah, especially since
Um,
there's no replenish. So if somehow this does get blown up, but even that's actually not an issue. It's important to note if we get to another turn, then we can make infinite squirrels to block. It's just this turn that Lorient's infinite squirrels actually even attack for lethal.
right.
All right, all right. Well, now we have two Sterling Groves.
Okay.
Uh, we're just like doing goofy stuff now. We play Sterling Grove. We're gonna trigger Words of Wind. We're gonna bounce Sterling Grove plus Cloud of Fairies. He's attempting to illustrate some sort of loop where he's going to generate a bunch of mana because each iteration of this loop we untap 2 lands. One of these lands taps for like 7 mana or something goofy. So yeah, some sort of loop is being illustrated here.
So what is
But
the
to
okay?
what
So
end?
how are we bouncing the creature? Oh, because we're
With the
using one
Words of
draw
Wind.
with the Words of Wind and drawing one card. So we net
Yeah,
one card and then
we've
get to
got
do
actually
this.
4 Enchantress effects. We've got 2
Oh,
Argothian
okay. Then
Enchantress
he's
and
got
2
plenty of
Enchantress
draws to
presence.
replace.
So we every time we play this, we can bounce 2 permanents and not care. So some sort of loop is being illustrated, and I'm confident that it works. With this loop, we can draw our deck and generate infinite mana. And
That's what it looks like.
yeah,
So how are we
I'm
winning?
confident that it works.
I guess
Uh,
that's the question.
that yeah, like I believe that Jake has the resources to draw their entire deck and generate infinite mana. But how does that translate to the win? They can make their own infinite squirrels, which does not actually break this up. Um,
No.
I mean, this sort of does actually. They can draw their deck and they can draw their disenchant effect, and then blow
Oh,
up
sure.
all
Yeah,
of
if you
Lorient's
if you draw the disenchant
resources.
effect, then you can blow up the infinite permanents, and then your opponent has no more permanents forever, and then you can
Yeah,
win with a ham sandwich. Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. We figured it out. So for those watching at home, Jake had an infinite loop to draw his deck and have infinite mana. In his deck is an ability to destroy Lorien's infinite permanent from his Squirrel's Nest combo, which would then make Words of Wind give Jake the ability to bounce all of his opponent's permanents for the rest of the game. Jake has permanents. Lorien does not. If you've played the game of Magic, you know permanents are required to win the game in not most
Yeah.
circumstances. Most in middle school at least. So that's what happened. So Lorien on turn 4 presented game-ending combo, and Jake responded by doing his game-ending combo.
Yeah, so that's honestly kind of what we expected. Neither of these decks are very good at stopping each other. There's a reason these decks were called solitaire. Um, so what can we see in the sideboard? Do we have any kind of mirror breakers? I think we just have some more disenchant effects. And of course, being on the play will be pretty meaningful. What do we have here? Some disenchant effects, some cards in foreign language. I don't know what they are. um,
Those are defense grids, I believe. Oh, and then
right, that's not relevant.
the white one. So he's got an enchantment, I believe, that redirects damage.
Okay. I think there's
Um,
something karmic justice. I could go look that up.
um,
Okay. Is that what that
yeah, I think
was?
so.
Okay. 3 mana enchantment. Whenever a spell or ability an opponent controls destroys a non-creature permanent you control, you may destroy target permanent that opponent controls. That's not what's going on here, but
Nope.
nice try. I don't think that's relevant.
He's got some 3-end foundries, which aren't really going to do much here either.
Yeah.
I think
Strangely, our players did not come prepared for the Enchantress metagame.
so. We've seen blue cards out of Jake.
Yeah, Jake's
Um,
got Words of Wind, which is sweet, by the way. I think Words of Wind is just a delight. I've always enjoyed bouncing all of my opponents' permanents. It's just the best. Lorien, what does Lorien have going on? By
he
the way,
does
so
not have
Lorien
blue.
does not have blue. There is Goblin Bombardment, so it can be a 3-card combo where he makes Earthcraft and Squirrel's Nest to make infinite tokens, and then he sacks them to the Bombardment to kill his opponent in a single turn. Um, Lorien has yeah, not a lot going on. Neither of these players really have a lot that helps each other in this matchup. Just go first, mulligan into a strong hand because your opponent is not going to break up your combo really. So
Hmm.
it's really worth it. Don't keep just lands and spells. Keep an enabler. Keep some action. Because this is not in some games of Magic. You're trading resources with your opponent. You're trying to grind them out and get these 2-for-1s. In this match, you're just trying to execute your plan. Keep a hand that can execute your plan. Very few of our cards enable us to interact with our opponent. That's really just not what this is about. So,
So this, I mean, if you're either of these players, are you trying to just make your deck's combo as lean as possible to get to it as quickly as possible, or are you actually trying to interact with just a few cards that we have? I mean, there's a few extra, Aura of Silence here and there, maybe a few extra.
I think Aura of Silence is good because if you get it out very quickly, you can really slow down your opponent. It makes all their enchantments cost more mana. So
Sure.
Aura of Silence is much better than just disenchant. Trading, 1-for-1, blowing up one enchantment when your opponent's deck is 30 kind of interchangeable enchantments is not meaningful.
Sure.
But making all of your opponent's enchantments cost 2 more mana, putting double Sphere of Resistance on them, that's really meaningful. So I like Aura of Silence a lot.
So chat wants to know how aggressively do either of these players mulligan? And if so, what are they mulliganing to?
Well, you have to have the presence or the enchantress. If you don't have that, get out. Like that hand is not a keeper because your opponent's not going to be able to like, really get rid of those cards reliably. So that's easy. It's almost like Dredge and Vintage, where if you don't have Bizarre Baghdad, just get this hand out of here. I
Sure.
think it's the same deal in this matchup. Like there's our opponent isn't countering anything that we're doing. It's very especially Argothian Enchantress. Neither deck can remove that. There are some disenchants for our Enchantress's presence, but yeah, if our hand doesn't have it, one of our 8 enablers, then pack it up. And Jake, I think, is being very disciplined. Is like this hand can't do it.
Yep.
Let's see what 6 can do for me.
Jake is taking that mulligan, which means comfortable. He's on the draw again, so he will have a moment to kind of get an extra card and maybe find what he needs. We definitely saw Jake's deck's ability to find what it needs on time. We'll
Oh
see if
yeah,
Lorien has the ability to do too. I don't know if he found it or if he naturally had it. We haven't seen
both
his deck have
players
to work for it yet.
presented very strong starts. They presented an enabler and the combo very quickly. I really wonder about the conversation they had. I feel like Jake must have. If I were Lorien, I'd say, Jake, flip over your deck or something, because Jake would have to say, in my deck, there's a disenchant effect to break up your infinite scroll combo, and then I can bounce all your permanents.
I mean, from one Enchantress player to another, it's pretty safe to assume we haven't seen any of those Seal of Cleansings.
Like
We
lurking
know
around
it's in
here
there.
somewhere.
I mean, Seal of Cleansing's already a pillar of this format, let alone
Yeah.
a required inclusion in Enchantress.
All right, so this is a really strong opening for Lorien on the play and has mana ramp. So this could be a powerful turn too. We could see Argothian Enchantress plus another enchantment and
Yep.
just kind of pull away, the tail light star. Uh-oh. Okay,
Okay.
Argothian Enchantress. Funny
Called
story.
shot.
Neither deck can remove Argothian Enchantress besides, but no enchantment.
Okay.
So we're off to the races. It's really the burden's heavily on Jake to answer back here, or the tail lights could just get really distant for Lorien as he just takes off. But we're tapping that mana pretty quickly because both players know that they're just gonna get to do whatever they want unmolested, basically. Oh no! Okay, no, he declared something. They're just shortcutting.
Okay. For those of you who are new to the middle school format and watching, fetches are legal, but there are no dual lands, so that is why we see Jake fetching basic lands.
Right.
The mana being notably terrible in the format is a feature of the format.
If you're doing allied colors, the mana is pretty good.
Sure.
If you're doing enemy colors, It's pretty bad. And like 3 colors, unless you're putting Mox Diamond in your deck, you have to play like City of Brass. 3 colors a little rough.
Yeah.
So yeah, the mana being restrictive in this format is definitely something else. All right, so what do we got?
Okay, we're gonna
Yeah,
trigger.
Lauren is
Draw a card.
just going off. Ooh, but does not have land
No.
number 3.
Wow. All
All right,
right.
so this is it. I mean, Jake kept his hand, so we expect an Enchantress's presence this turn, or some sort of enabler to start taking off. Because otherwise, I would have mulliganed to 5. I would
Right.
not have bothered. All right, so here's our cheat. Both okay, we're making more mana. Yes, yes.
Yes.
Gotta show something interesting here. I'm
So we use
curious.
the spirit guide. Wow.
Oh, we're cycling? Oh,
Whoa. That
no.
is those are fertile grounds. Those make blue mana.
Yeah.
Why?
All
I
right.
guess we want the card.
Yeah, the cycle implies we don't have an enabler.
Yep. And Jake takes a point of mana burn, notably.
Oh, there's mana burn in this format.
Yep.
Yeah, I would not have stayed on 6 without an enabler. That's just me. I'm sure Jake can tell me I'm totally wrong. But yeah, I think this game is kind of over at this point. When your opponent is drawing 3 cards a turn and you're cycling some cards, typically you're going to get buried alive.
I mean, we literally saw that in the previous game where Jake drew a million cards and then won the game.
Yeah, when you have unlimited cards and unlimited mana, you can win in very esoteric ways.
Demonstrate a loop. All right, pick which weird enabler in the format do you want. All right, you can win that way.
All right, so Lorian's casting some spells and drawing some cards, just living. Oh no, Aura of Silence. All right, so now all of Jake's enchantments are going to cost 2 more mana. This like double Sphere of Resistance just showed up. This is kind of a beating.
This means Jake is going to naturally draw the Enchantress's presence this next turn and not be able to cast it.
Yep. All right, Miri's Guile. Sure, let's play this weird pseudo Sensei's Divining Top card. That sounds great.
Notably in Lorian's deck is a land tax. So should that arrive here, and should Jake play more basic lands, we could tax and Guile and build our own.
So note that Lorian had to move to discard. So Lorian's really hurting. I feel bad with this embarrassment of riches that's going on. You've got like 20 permanents in play, and your opponent is playing Cloud of Fairies. All right, what do you got for us, Jake?
We're gonna float some mana. Hey, now we can cast our Enchantress's Presence because we can untap our land and net some mana. All right, so I was wrong, chat. Jake could cast it this turn if he naturally drew it. Did he draw it? Survey says.
Gotta have something.
Come on, don't take mana burn. There's an Earthcraft. Okay, so now we're making more mana.
Okay, no, the Cloud of Fairies can untap our land, so we can fight through the Aura of Silence, which is really, really painful.
Notably, we had to use all the mana we had gained from our Cloud of Fairies just to do that, because things do cost more mana.
Okay,
here we go.
Disenchant. All right, so this is actually pretty interesting because what do you blow up? Do you blow up the Enabler? Do you blow up the Aura of Silence? Do you blow up the Earthcraft? This is really difficult. Okay. I feel like we're almost too far behind for this.
So Jake did not need to put the Earthcraft in play to play the Stela Cleansing. Do you think he did it as a bait to get this Aura of Silence, or do you instead of one of his other fertile grounds?
I don't know. Or maybe we're just trying to set up to spike it. I think set up to spike is probably what's going on. We just hope we somehow slip this through because we're so far behind. We have to play to this out. So this is difficult. Oh, what are we targeting? This is a tough call.
We have to target, if we're not losing to Lorian this turn, I think we have to target the Aura of Silence, and then.
Yeah, that kind of sucks because then Lorian can sack the Aura of Silence and blow up our Earthcraft.
Well, but no, that's going to happen regardless. No, wow, we just go for the Earthcraft. Okay.
Okay, so I mean, with our own Earthcraft and our Cloud of Fairies, Jake is thinking that there's enough mana to go around, and we can just fight through Sphere of Resistance.
Having never played a game of Enchantress, my opinion is I don't think there's enough mana to go around yet. But all it takes is one. A few more fertile grounds, but fertile grounds cost 4 mana. We're not gaining anything. I guess if we have 2 more fertile grounds, which we know we don't have because we would have played them already. Jake taps all 4 mana to cast it, and then uses Cloud of Fairies to untap the one forest, gets his 4 mana
Mhm.
back, and then hasn't even drawn a card in the exchange because we don't have an enabler. So,
Yeah, hey, this is rough. I'm trying to think
but
of like a sequence of events where Jake would win this game. Somehow they assemble Squirrel's Nest, Earthquaft, don't get don't get things blown up by the aura of silence,
yeah.
and also not have Lorien somehow won the game already.
And now
That's
we
a
have
big
a
ask.
now Aura of Silence is Shroud, so Jake's window of opportunity seems to have gone. Now, I mean, Jake seems to have only 2 cards in his hand, so he may not be able to just go off. He may be fighting to not lose, which
Yeah.
is fine. That is a way to play Magic. We are
Yeah.
untimed, so we're not going to be able to go to time.
I
Um,
don't think that's a concern. We saw both players understand how loops work.
this
If
is true.
Lorien demonstrates some sort of loop, Jake will be polite and pack him in. I have no doubt. Right now, I believe Lorien is demonstrating. He's just flexing and being like, "Oh, I have so many cards. I just have to discard some." I
Look,
believe
my
that's what's
Enchantress
happening
deck
at
can
this
do
point
it
in the game.
too.
Yeah, but Jake didn't have to pass. He just drew a bunch of cards and then demonstrated the loop and ended the game. So I'm gonna have to give it to Jake for winning with a bit more style.
Okay, so do you think there's time for Lorien to lose to Cloud of Fairies?
There's the Cloud of Fairies is gonna be tapping into this Earthcraft to make mana. It is not getting into the red zone. That is not a thing. And no, I don't. Even if the Cloud Fairies was attacking over the course of the next 18 turns, the game is going to be long since over by then.
All right, Chad is pointing out the quality of Jake's basics as compared to Lorien's basics.
Mm,
So one of the things I do love about this format is you get to play basics, which you don't get to do in almost any other format in
uh,
quantity. So you
yeah,
actually
unless
get
they
a
were to a
chance
Blood
to
Moon.
play some nice basics. It is a consideration people put into their deck.
Well, it's definitely Mirage. I mean, I don't think that's really a contest. We can play these Mirage basics.
Mirage is pretty good. I have a bunch of Portal basics I enjoy quite a bit. Portal's nice.
Mhm.
Tweety rocks all of the Euro and APAC. His favorite combination of those, I believe.
I mean, I also respect people like I have beta lands, and I have to admit the art on the original art on the basic lands is not very good. But there's something to be said for playing the originals.
uh, yeah. So I mean, I've got some of the my beta basics. I use those for old school, and I try not to use them here, even though I have infinitely more of those for some reason. Of quality basics anyway. I probably have some Mirage.
All right, Goblin Bombardment
Ooh,
implies
okay.
that the game is about to end. So we
Um,
get the bombardment. If we get the squirrel's nest, we can make infinite squirrels and sack them to the bombardment and in the
um,
game.
which we can do because we have the mana to activate the Grove and cast. We may not be able to win this turn. Okay, no, so
No,
there's a
no, no. It
mana.
wins. It wins right away if
Well,
we
but I don't know
have
if we
the
can
squirrel's
cast
nest.
everything, right?
Oh
Because
yeah,
we
we
have to
can.
have. How much mana do we need? We need
The Goblin Bombardment is
6.
2, and the Squirrel's Nest is 3. That's 5 mana. We're good.
Okay, cool. How much is Sterling Grove to activate?
Oh well, we already did. We did that during the upkeep, and there's a plains that's tapped. So yeah, we've got plenty
Okay,
of
we
mana.
got
It's
another.
all
We have
happening.
another Grove in play, so we can play the bombardment trigger on the.
All
Oh,
right.
never mind. We just
Yeah,
have it all.
yeah, yeah. We just
All
have it.
right, all
Like
right.
if
Look
you're
at me
going to
doing
get
all the
the
mental math.
bombardment, that indicates you have the rest of it locked up.
All right. Well,
And so I hope our viewers have enjoyed the players like hand waving at each other and then someone concedes. But that's what happens when the decks can't really stop each other from doing anything. They're just like, yeah, I've got it. I'm going to make infinite damage. And the other player's like, I don't want to play anymore. Or I've got it. I can bounce infinite things. And I don't want to play anymore.
so ask yourself: did you bring enough sideboard cards for these matchups? Can you beat Infinite Squirrels? Can you beat the Words of Wind?
So the decks I played, and in our next match, the deck that I really like, um, always had a bunch of meddling mages, and so these
Yes.
decks that we're seeing here, especially in their main deck, can't really beat meddling mage. And in their sideboard, I think they might have a few swords to plowshares, but it really hurts to mess up your combo by bringing in these swords to plowshares that aren't enchantments.
Yep.
So when I played against these decks when I was in the previous leagues, I was playing land still, so game one was already kind of bad because I had a bunch of counter spells, and I could actually remove an Argothian Enchantress. I had Wrath and Humility, And then games 2 and 3 were actually really lopsided because they just couldn't beat the card meddling mage because their deck really leans into these enablers. If these enablers can't show up, their deck just doesn't do anything. It's just we're making a bunch of mana with some fertile grounds. So yeah, with the decks that I like to play, I usually had a pretty favorable matchup against Enchantress decks. But Enchantress is really good at beating up on random creature decks. The problem is, I think that this format is not about random creature decks. I think that even though Goblins did win one time, which is sweet, this format is about the Landstill deck is really good. The deck that you beat me with, Robert, the Rock deck is pretty good, and the Rock actually is like a nightmare matchup. It has Pernicious Deeds. They just blow up all your enchantments.
Yes.
And it has Diabolic Edict, so it can kill the the Enchantress. So you actually have a lot of bad matchups floating around, and the matchups that you're good against random creature decks are not very prevalent in this format. The control decks are very good. The interactive cards are very good. And then the combo decks are good. These are good combo decks, but they're slower than other combo decks, despite what you're seeing here, where it looks like they're
Is everything okay?
yeah, I can see them both.
We're
Can you
good.
see
I
them
just
both,
muted his
Robert?
audio.
Yeah.
He's fine.
Okay.
When it refreshed, it brought his audio back. But yeah, he's good.
Yeah, everything. Just checking in on some technology here, folks. So anyway, yeah, I think these decks are really sweet. Who doesn't want to draw their whole deck and make a bunch of mana? So I can't fault anyone for playing it. But yeah, I feel like you have some troublesome matchups in faster combo decks, and you have troublesome matchups from the control mid-range decks like the Rock or Landstill. So
what do you think about, if we're playing an enchantment deck, there's Enchantress, but then there's also blue-white Replenish. What do we think about, that deck as compared to this against the format?
So the blue-white if the blue-white deck is more like combo focused.
Sure.
Oh, let me mute something. The blue-white deck is more combo focused, and so it can be easier to hate out because the Enchantress deck, you have to be prepared to interact with Shroud creatures and enchantments, which is really weird. A lot of people can't do that. A lot of decks just can't do that. Whereas the Replenish deck, you get to interact with the graveyard and spells on the stack. If you just stop this Replenish spell, which is a 4-mana sorcery, that's way easier than stopping a 2-mana creature or a 3-mana enchantment. So I think that the Replenish deck is a bit more fragile, even though it is more explosive.
Sure.
And on this note, it looks like Jake is, being very disciplined in their mulliganing, and they mulled down to 5, which is perfectly reasonable because, as we saw, people aren't really doing much to stop each other in this matchup.
Right. As long as you've got something that draws cards when you play your spells, that's where you want to be. Right. 5 cards isn't all that much different than 7 at that point.
Yeah.
Lorien casting a wild growth on a city of brass. Ladies and gentlemen.
That's fine. That's what
welcome to middle school.
All right, so we're Jake is keeping everything on book, just starting off the turn 2 Arthgothian Enchantress. Lorien, I mean, the games don't go that long, so I don't, and also Jake's deck doesn't win with damage, so the downside of City of Brass is very negligible in this scenario.
But you want to Earthcraft, your land with enchantments on it, but like City of Brass, you don't want to tap too many times. I mean, you're right, we're not under the pressure of damage here, so we've got 19 more, 18 more activations out of it, but you can't do that in Jake's deck. Jake wants to untap his land, 15, 20 times in a single turn.
Okay, speaking of broken cards,
that's the land we want to untap, everybody.
Yeah, so we've got Sarah's Sanctum. For each enchantment you control, generate a white mana. Another reserve list card that I think is worth like way too much money for something that only goes into one deck.
Yes.
But
I mean, you can play Oops All Ley Lines in Legacy, right? No, not a good deck. Not a good deck.
All right, so actually, this is really smart, by the way, on Jake's part. You're supposed to cash in your Seal of Cleansing now.
Yes.
On the other Seal of Cleansing, when you have no other enchantments in place, you cannot get 2 from 1.
That was very good.
That seems aggressive, but this is the best possible time to target the other Seal of Cleansing.
Jake definitely been around the block before, knows what's going on.
All right, so the burden is on Lorian to have something because Lorian has not shown us any enablers. Um, so we could be in a situation very quickly where Jake just pulls ahead. You know, he's the person drawing 3 cards a turn, and Lorian just like can't keep up.
Now, notably, we cannot Squirrel's Nest a City of Brass.
No, that would kill us.
But
we've got other lands. We can put the Squirrel's Nest on the forest. That's
we do have other lands now. This is true. Forest, a big a basic land is a big boon for Lorian here. You're right. We don't have any enablers though.
Yeah, so Lorian's hand had City of Brass, Fertile Ground, Sarah's Sanctum. And so we can't lead on Sarah's Sanctum on turn 1. That doesn't do anything. But Lorian knew that once we got online, we'd be okay. So this all seems very reasonable to me. So what are we thinking here? We're doing some math, doing some guys cradle math.
Chad is saying that the play should have been Sealy Cleansing on the Wild Growth, and I'm kind of with you, Woodrow.
That's ambitious. When we do that, we're really hoping that Lorian's got the City of Brass. You don't deal damage. The drawback is very trivial. I think that's too aggressive.
And now Chad is saying that he was joking. You know what? I can't read intention on the chat. I just assume all of you are serious Magic players. We don't joke around here at Romancing the Stones.
Never troll anybody. That never happens.
All right. Well, I've been got by chat.
Wow.
That's why Chat says he thought he was joking, but he's not sure now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Lorian is presenting all of the pieces of the puzzle except for the last piece. So we have an enabler to find it, and we have the rest of the puzzle here to complete. And Lorian could present lethal combo action. Jake has no way to stop it.
Jake has to have something here because next turn, if the Squirrel's Nest shows up, we just die on the spot. It's not suspend 1, you're dead. It's instantly dead. So we need something to break this up, even because of the Sarah's Sanctum. All right, so this is good enough. If a Squirrel's Nest gets put onto the stack, we can just respond by blowing up the Earthcraft. So we're sitting pretty.
Having the second Sealy Cleansing was exactly what Jake needed, because it doesn't look like Jake's in a position to go off. He's gone off on turn 4 before, but he didn't have the resources yet. But the Sealy Cleansing gives him some shields.
Yeah, we've got some protection here. So now Lorian would have to lead with Sterling Grove into Squirrel's Nest. That would do it.
If Lorian has Sterling Grove, what does Jake do? Does he respond?
I think you have to respond by blowing up the Earthcraft.
Okay.
Yeah, Sterling Grove gets put on the stack. We blow up the Earthcraft, and then we can't get got.
All right, we got another Wild Growth. These look like Korean FPVs,
okay, so
maybe?
I think we're gonna respond just by blowing up Earthcraft now, so our GW Enchantress can't untap this land. Possibly, yeah, that's fine. Whatever, that's perfectly fine.
Not bad. Okay. Well, yeah, blowing up with crap is fine because that's the real combo piece there.
Yeah, by itself, the Goblin Bombardment just does nothing at all. It has no text by itself without the other parts of the combo. So we can leave that. We don't want to blow up any of these fertile grounds. That's not getting us anywhere. We might have wanted to blow up this Enchantress's presence.
Yeah, that. I don't know. Enchantress's presence doesn't lose immediately. It is a slow burn.
True.
But
feels bad, man.
Here come the screws. They're getting tightened. All right. Well,
humility.
Oh my goodness. Jake's resources just going away.
Yeah, so we need Jake does have Aura of Silences to blow up the humility. So basically Lorian has pulled ahead on board, and Lorian has said, all right, I'm gonna freeze the board with humility, and I'm gonna be so far ahead that you can't catch up. So Jake
and even then, Lorian still has the Enchantress's presence, so he can still draw some number of cards, and now he's got 2 power.
Have
So
to beat down.
that may actually, well, I mean, they'll trade with the other one, so he's kind of doesn't have 2 power.
Down
But
package. What do we have? All right, whatever.
Okay.
We've got our
Jake
own
responds
Enchantress presence,
appropriately.
So both gonna play Magic.
Yep.
We're both gonna do the Seal of Cleansing number 3. All right, Humility. Wait. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, I like
Okay,
it. Now
sure.
we're the only person with the draw engine online. This looks good to me.
Notably, right now he can sacrifice, I believe, an Enchantress to kill the other Enchantress.
Yes,
Right, Goblin
we
Bolt,
could totally
target
mod
creatures.
Fanatic the situation to get this irrelevant 1/1 creature off the board. I think Lorian still has more cards in hand. Lorian's definitely got more action. So step 1, though, Lorian's not going to forget to put creatures into the red zone. That's what we want in our hardcore games of Magic.
Yeah.
0 power creatures getting aggressive.
I like this. Okay, so we have attacked with these Argothian Enchantresses, right? These Enchantresses.
Yep. They're not humble at all. They're getting
All right,
into the red zone.
somebody clip this of the 3 Argothian Enchantresses that are going to get here in the red zone. So this is actually like a real clock now.
Yeah,
We've got
it is.
3
Now
power.
our City of Brass actually has like real drawbacks.
Yep.
So yeah, this game is weird.
So I mean, because now we can attack for 3, which is a real clock against Jake because
We should
all
block
3 of these
one.
dudes can go to the dome too at any time. They're all Mog Fanatics. So
Jake's gonna need to do something soon. Maybe okay. But Jake's drawing cards. Jake will figure it out. Let's take a look here. Let's see. Jake's at 15, Lorian's at 14. So Jake's got a few turns to play with. This is something that I do enjoy about this format. Those of us who play Magic with some of the more recent cards, once you start getting beat up by the new cards, the new creatures are so powerful. If they swing at you twice, the game is just over because of all of the power creep. Here, you can get punched 3 or 4 times and then still come back into the game. But the modern card design, like every time you get attacked, your opponent draws 5 cards and gains 20 life or something. You just can never turn the corner on it. All right.
These fairies do not untap lands.
Oh, there's another craft in play.
Oh, they do untap lands if you do it that way. That's fine. All right, I stand corrected.
All right, and now we've just got a whole bunch of 1/1s running around, just messing up the red zone.
Unfortunately, now Jake has stopped the aggro plan for at least a turn after he untaps.
So this is pretty goofy. We've got the Words of Wind, so we can start bouncing permanents on both sides. So what Words of Wind says is you pay a colorless mana, and you can skip a draw and have each player bounce a permanent. So this really only works when you have more permanents than your opponent. They have about the same amount of permanents. Jake is drawing the extra cards, so Jake might be able to break serve on this in some fashion. Lorian knows what's up. Lorian's like, whoa, this game is starting to slip away. We need to apply pressure.
So if Lorian's creatures stay on board, Jake is at a virtual 8 right now, which means we need to attack at least a minimum of 3 more times with these creatures. So Jake's got 4 turns, and I think he's
4 turns.
4 turns. A lot can change, especially because he's got blockers now. I mean, we could do some Mog Fanatic combat tricks to maybe mitigate some of that, but that will slow the clock down considerably. Well, this is so if we compare game 1 to game 2, and then look at game 3, none of this makes sense. It's all different.
Well, in this case, I'm definitely going to blame the card Humility, because Humility makes games of Magic into nonsense.
All right, so we have an Oath in play.
Right, what are we even oathing up?
Another Enchantress, so we can Mog Fanatic one of his.
Yeah, that's real ultimate power. I'm going to use this busted 2-mana enchantment to put 1/1 creatures into play.
Oh, but you know what we can do? If we have Replenish, we can absolutely Oath our deck into the graveyard and then replenish.
Okay, that's a deep cut, but that could happen.
That is definitely, and we can activate it because Lorian can sacrifice, one of these Enchantresses at any time.
We can always trigger our Oath. We just throw our creatures at the dome or something.
Yep.
this is wild. I would not have even suspected that Oath of Druids would still be in the deck because
That's true.
it seems very odd. I'd rather have another disenchant effect than Oath of Druids. So what are we missing here? Whoa! Who's the beatdown here, pal? Oh no, are we untapping lands? Yeah, I think we're untapping lands. We're not attacking.
Are we?
No,
we're gonna play creatures into this oath.
Okay. Creatures into the oath. Oh wow, this is an unfortunate series of draws on Jake's part. Instead of drawing enchantments, we've drawn, derpy creatures.
So now, notably, should Lorian want to, he could attack with everything and wipe out Jake's board of creatures if he wanted to.
Important note: damage on the stack exists in this format, so we can attack, stack damage, and throw our creatures around. So the Goblin Bombardment is pretty meaningful. Lorian has opted to trigger the oath, which presumably will get another Argothian Enchantress. So there's
one replenish down. Let's see.
This really only makes sense. No,
Ooh,
I
think
that's
both replenishes.
Okay, there's 3. So wait, how many replenishes were here?
I don't think there's another one.
Yeah, I think that's all of them. That's all of them. Puzzled. I don't think I'd trigger the oath. Well, I don't know. Let me see how many replenishes we got here. There's 2 in the main. One. Okay. So there's no more replenishes. That out is gone. So Lorian is just really valuing having another creature to throw at Jake and try and just kill Jake with beatdown, I guess.
I don't think he's positioned well enough to do that. Oh my gosh, it was the last card of his deck. This
Lorian
is a problem.
Just killed himself. The game over. So instead of some weird beatdown package, we saw the rare drawback of Oath of Druids, where you mill over your entire deck.
Oh my goodness!
And just die.
All right, somebody clip that one for us too, because that was on stream and that was great. And we can.
That's not how Oath of Druid works. Usually, you get the creature, you have like a Guy's Blessing, or you have a Crows and Reclamation, or some effect like that, where you guaranteed kill your opponent. So this is kind of a weird game. I'm actually curious on what would have happened. They both would have just played 1/1s and had some weird beatdown.
And Jake had 6 versus Lorian's 3. So that was.
So in 2 turns, Jake would have made infinite squirrels. They did a little rabbit hunt there.
Oh my goodness!
I feel like because Jake was drawing 2 cards a turn, that Jake would have been able to piece something together. But instead, Oath of Druid showed up and decked out Lorian. So definitely that was not on my radar for a post-board game.
No, my bingo card did not have that at all. I mean, we did talk about the possibility of decking ourselves being a real thing in this matchup, but that was not how we drew that up. That was not how any of those players drew it up. And normally, like when you're playing Oath of Druids, you have ways to mitigate this, right? You have your Gia's Blessings to kind of solve this, or some other mechanism.
Frozen Reclamation or something like that.
Yes.
And actually, it's important to note that neither player actually could deck themselves out. Both of the Jake had Words of Wind, and Lorian has Words of War. Words of War is like pay a colorless, forego a draw, deal 2 damage to any target. Yep. So neither of them can ever actually deck themselves out the way their decks are constructed. So
you have to have the words though before that happens, as we've just.
Well, once you like if let's say you have 0 cards in your library and then you play a Words of Wind and you have an Enchantress effect in play, you'll die to decking yourself before you resolve the words. But that's that. By and large, it's not something you encounter.
Wild. Well,
that is our Enchantress mirror. Rough beats, fans of goofy enchantments. We had a little friendly fire on that one.
Well, that's going to do it for our first match. Again, this is round 4 of our 6-round middle school league. So we're on the second half of that. We've got another match for you here in a little bit, so we're going to go back to the booth, get them ready to go, and then we will be back with more Magic. Stay tuned.
All right. right. Those of us
gotta
who have
be.
been hankering for a little bit more
All right.
interactive Magic instead of having two players, play a bunch of enchantments and ignore each other and make infinite mana and draw infinite cards. That's exactly what we've got lined up for you. We've got some pretty exciting decks, and I, for one, am very curious to see what happens. Though I definitely have a favorite in this matchup. Why don't you tell the viewers what we've got in store, Robert?
So, for those of you who tuned in last week, you saw Andrew Webb play his kind of version of what's it like?
Scroll Rack Psychotog.
Yeah, Scroll Rack Psychotog. Sorry, I was thinking of the Stifle Nut deck we had last week. So it's this really fun Scroll Rack Psychotog deck that gets to play Sea Drake, he makes Sea Drake look so good in this deck. All-Star from Portal. And then David, who we all know and love, is playing a recurring nightmare, survival of the fittest, Academy Rector deck. We saw that as well last week. So we've seen these decks on stream. We haven't seen them play against each other, so we're going to see that now. Both decks capable of doing some very powerful things. What do you think is going to happen?
I think that these survival decks are they're just not as lean. Like, survival is such a busted card.
Absolutely. Go ahead and start, guys.
Especially if Webb is on the play. Webb has some really powerful things like Meddling Mage on survival. If we just daze a survival or something, then Webb can just swing over and kill the survival deck. The survival deck can have some very schizophrenic draws.
Yep.
We
did see that happen last week. Survival drew just kind of the weird half of their deck. It's not even the wrong half. It's just the weird half.
And both of these decks. Oh, wait, so here we are. On that note, we're having a turn one Meddling Mage on Survival of the Fittest, which David's deck does not. Let me check, but David's deck doesn't really have removal because when you play Survival of the Fittest, you have to put a bunch of creatures in your deck, which is fine. Creatures are sweet, but this card Meddling Mage is really good in this format. David's deck. That's it. Unless this Meddling Mage dies in combat. David's deck does not have any removal. There's a Bone Shredder. There's a single Bone Shredder that without survival,
right.
we can't go get. And also, we have some weird cards in our deck like Squeeb, Goblin Nabob, and Acroma, Angel of Wrath. These cards only make sense if Survival of the Fittest is working. And if it's not, we've just got a bunch of error. So this is definitely a big problem. There's no doubt in my mind that the Meddling Mage, which I think this card is just incredible in this format, has named Survival. Also, something I'll point out is both players have some sort of card that lets their wonky mana bases work. Webb is on an Esper deck. Those decks are hard to make work, but Mox Diamond makes it look good. And all right, we can Stone Rain the Mox Diamond. Do it.
I think so.
Mana in this format is so sketchy that I would not hesitate.
I mean, it feels kind of weird when you have this Veteran Explorer to like Stone Rain, but like this Veteran Explorer is not blocking and not attacking right now.
No, I think if Webb attacks with the Meddling Mage, we're totally blocking with the Veteran Explorer.
Sure.
Unless it gets plowed. Oh. Ooh.
Okay. There's a land tax. I mean, right now we're at parity. So one thing to note, Meddling Mage, if in most modern formats, is an all-star, sideboard card. In middle school, it is absolutely worth playing main deck if you're in these colors. Because it is a really good card. I think the only time I've really seen that happen in a modern format is maybe like Modern Humans for a time. Played a Meddling Mage main deck because you could look at your opponent's hand and some stuff.
By the way, that Modern Humans is just like not playable anymore. Like, I know that everybody knows me as a guy who plays a bunch of spells, but okay. So let's go back.
Speaking of spells,
yeah, David is playing a sweet
one.
one. So this is another one. We've got Meddling Mage and we've got the other sniper, Cabal Therapy. So this is not an open decklist tournament.
Nope.
But we named Swords to Plowshares. It's a good name. Swords will let us potentially, if Webb could have cast Swords to Plowshares, it would have been reasonable to just cast Plow targeting the Veteran Explorer with the Cabal Therapy on the stack. So Webb's hand is kind of do nothing-y. We're going to draw a bunch of lands off land tags. I guess that's okay.
I almost think that we take this. I could see us taking the Force of Will out to grab our lands I don't know how many cards are in David's hand, but like we could take the Force of Will, give our opponent lands, which doesn't really do much for them, and then we're both kind of playing, you know, outside of the realm where land tax really hurts us. I mean, Andrew will get to land tax as often as he wants, but David will have 5 lands in play and kind of not care.
Yeah,
And Andrew will only just have basic land and Mox. So
yeah. So Andrew's deck, why is this land tax here besides it's a broken card? Andrew's deck has Scroll Rack, which allows him to shuffle back the lands. Andrew's deck can swap them out for something else. Andrew's deck also has Psychotog. So if we get a bunch of lands in our hand, we can just discard them to the Psychotog and giant growth our Psychotog. So there is some value besides the lands themselves with the land tax. So let's see what's going on. Ooh, Sylvan Library. That's good. That's if we're both dirtling around. Sylvan Library is a good Magic card.
See, I honestly want to. I mean, I guess we can crack and grab this. We could wait a turn to grab the Force of Will. We don't have to do it now. The lands do come into play untapped, so we can go ahead next turn. Sylvan Library, stack the deck, draw whatever we need to draw, get rid of the Force, get more lands, shuffle the library, get 3 new cards for the next turn. So it's definitely not the worst place to be. David's gonna have a lot of looks to find either his Bone Shredder or something else as sweet.
Well, we're getting to the point. David's deck does have 4 Academy Rectors, so there is an incentive to get rid of the Cabal Therapy, to Cabal Therapy the Force of Will, so our Academy Rector doesn't get Force of Willed. So David, but both players don't actually have any action. David has 2 cards in his hand, though the library is going to definitely help us get some more. Ooh, do we draw another Meddling Mage? What do we name? Do you name
Rector?
What would you name? Rector?
Unless I know that my opponent only has the 1 removal spell, I'd probably name the Rector, because then David has no way to cheat a survival into play.
Yeah. So it's important to note. So at this point, the players don't have each other's deck lists.
Nope.
Right.
So unless you watch our stream and listen to us say the one answer David has, then that's that.
It's important. Also, I think both of these players have played these decks before. So if everybody's been doing their homework, we can kind of intuit what's going on in everybody's deck. I think Webb got either first or second with this deck before, and David's had some runs with Recur Survival before. So they can both kind of figure it out.
Yep.
I do wish that we would know for sure what was named. The other name that might be reasonable is just Cabal Therapy, because one's in the graveyard.
It is.
That's a reasonable name.
Yep. And for those watching, we have the ability to listen in on the players. We just aren't. So, I mean, if I'm Andrew, I'm what do I want to name? I want to name cards that get rid of Meddling Mage, or cards that cheat in cards Meddling Mage is named.
Right. So if we know that Academy Rector's in the deck, that's a very good name. The question is, does Andrew put that one together? To be determined. But if he has, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the only other thing that we know, could come out of this sort of deck is we've seen Worship around. I don't know if Andrew has a way to beat a Worship. Plus,
I believe he does, because Andrew has. Andrew should have an Enlightened Tutor package, because there's a Scroll Rack, there's land tax, and then there's probably a Seal of Cleansing. Enlightened Tutor is one of the better tutors in this format.
Absolutely.
So that would be very reasonable of Andrew to have.
Yeah.
There is. So
then naming the Rector seems like a fair thing to do.
Okay. The players are checking gather for some interaction here. I wonder what's going on, but they'll figure it out. But these players have been slinging cardboard for a number of years. And if they can't figure it out, there's actually a Discord where we're all talking, so we can potentially look it up if we need to.
So Veteran Explorer is a card I've played in these leagues before, and it actually took me to a victory. As mentioned before.
Boo.
I know. I played it in Rock. The package with Cabal Therapy is very good.
All right, so Academy Rector was not named.
Wow.
So Webb may not have had that information. So since we didn't immediately use the Cabal Therapy, that leads me to assume the Cabal Therapy is what was named.
That must be. It has to be. Which is, it was, as you mentioned before, is very reasonable considering it was already in the yard.
Right, so this is
but that
rough.
also means we don't have a blue card for this Force of Will.
Yeah. Well, we know Webb's hand is all face up, so we
It is all
knew
face
that.
up. Yep. Okay.
And so the Academy Rector means we can't attack with Meddling Mage because we'll
yeah, we'll just
David
lose.
would not hesitate to snap off a block on that one.
Oh yeah. Get basic land and survival. Sign me up.
All right, so we need, a Sea Drake would be good because that could fly overhead.
Sea Drake would be good from Andrew. Yep,
could potentially deal a lot of damage. Just representing some 4 lands is not meaningful. So this last card needs to be a blue card, or it needs to be.
Now, notably, David is at 9, and he's drawn some cards off of the Sylvan Library.
Yeah.
And he's got a number of cards he can draw. He could draw a Stronghold to sacrifice this Rector.
Ooh, Stronghold would be good.
Yep. He could draw his Bone Shredder, which would allow him to cast his Cabal Therapy.
Then after that, it gets hazy because David's deck has a lot of blanks. When Survival is not in play, there are a lot of cards that are just like very questionable.
Akroma does nothing right now. Yeah, it's not being cast.
Squee. What else we got? Like Collar of the Claw, Octavia Orangutan.
Now, do we get in okay, I don't think we can attack with both Rector and
No, we can't because we just lose the race. Like we're at 9. Andrew will not hesitate to crack back with 4 damage when we're at 9 with the City of Brass.
Yeah, and we can't even.
Sylvan Library.
I think we can afford to attack with the Explorer because Veteran back on blocking is a lot more threatening. Oh no, David. I mean, you're probably.
We can't actually afford to attack with this Explorer because what if Andrew blocks? Then he'll get 2 lands and be able to hardcast the Force of Will in case we had some sort of follow up. So
well, then if we're not attacking with Veteran Explorer because of that, then we're definitely not attacking with the Rector.
Yeah,
because David's at 9, which entices Andrew to block unless David really wants.
No, he definitely the Academy Rector being triggered is much scarier than the Veteran Explorer. So at this point, Andrew has apparently pulled all the basic lands out of their deck. They're really looking for Sylvan, for a Scroll Rack or a Psychotog. Or Brainstorm is not legal in this format. FYI.
Maybe David's not too far off from hard casting Akroma with the Veteran Explorer trigger.
It's like 8 mana.
We've got 7 if we get the 2 and draw. We have a Sylvan Library to get the 8th, maybe.
Well,
I mean now there's forcible mana, so that's a problem.
We're just hardcast Force Will. We're gonna play another Mox Diamond. So wow, Andrew, no, we're just moving to discard. So we're at this awkward standoff where these weird utility creatures don't want to fight.
Yeah, if Andrew plays a land, then he's 2 turns away from land taxing again, and I don't think he wants that shuffle ability. He wants to be able to land tax, even if he can't draw cards. He can at least. You draw a Scroll Rack, put these basic lands back in, and then draw them back.
Yeah, Andrew wants an Enlightened Tutor or a Scroll Rack or a Swords to Plowshares.
Yep.
Other sweet cards in Andrew's deck in this sort of stalemate. A Gush. Also, if you draw a Sea Drake, you just fly overhead and not care about these weird creatures. So Andrew's deck definitely has a lot of good draws here.
Veteran Explorer number 2. Okay.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, Andrew doesn't have any more basic lands, so now this Veteran Explorer is sort of free.
Kind of free roll. So,
I'm surprised to see Academy Rector getting in here.
And more Mox
I believe
Diamonds.
Andrew is at 18. I don't think he's updated his life total, so we'll just keep an eye on that.
Yep, just nothing going on. So, I feel like due to the Sylvan Library, I feel like David is slightly ahead, but it's pretty tricky. Because David. So yeah, Andrew just needs like one good draw to kind of pull ahead because David's at such a precarious life total.
Yeah, I think there's now enough on the floor to kind of block at least a Meddling Mage attack, but like being at 9 and having 4 power against you is not the best place to be if none of your creatures can really size up. But you've got 2 blockers now, so that can double up and kill, and either one of these Meddling Mages is probably powerful.
Andrew, where are the creatures, man? Where's the beatdown?
Yeah, I mean,
Second target would be pretty bad just because David has so many blockers. Like we
right.
really need Sea Drake to close the deal, or Swords to Plowshares. If we just plow like the something, we could just rumble in. Are we playing another Academy Rector?
Yes, we are.
Sure, why not? I mean, I don't think you counter this because like one is bad enough. Maybe you counter it and hope to palm the Force of Will, the Swords of Plowshares for the other one. So
Sure.
I guess you
And,
counter it.
and if you
Sure.
have another force in hand, then like this one's kind of okay because you don't want to be in a position where like you can't attack or block. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's kind of precarious. I mean, so look at Andrew's deck. Let's say those two meddling mages were like anything else. You know, this matchup is completely different. Andrew hasn't drawn a lot of his other impactful cards. Actually, he's just
Yeah.
drawn a lot of mana sources.
Gush.
And
Good.
Gush is fine. This is true.
All right. Oh, hey, there's still basics in the deck.
Oh.
Andrew just knew previously. Andrew knew that they would move to discard if they'd pulled all the basics out. So
Okay.
they opted not to get the full load that land tax would provide.
Yeah. Okay. So he's gonna grab one, so he doesn't have to discard any extras. That makes sense. We don't have a rack for them.
Okay.
So we are
we're
gonna play a
playing the
basic land.
What are we doing here?
Well, that is only land 4, so we can still trigger the land tax.
Oh, do we
Do we
have
have
the
the
plow?
swords? No, we have
a
another
meaningless
triggers.
second land tax.
It's extra search triggers. So if we
it's
scroll
extra
rack,
shuffle effects if we get a scroll rack, which we
Yep.
have not seen. Well, how much is that card, by the way? It's got to be like $50 or something stupid like that.
land tax or scroll rack.
Scroll rack. Land tax got reprinted a couple of times, but scroll rack, I
Scroll
think,
got
just had their own
reprinted
printing.
not that long ago.
Oh, it did. Okay. Let me
Yes.
take a look. Yeah. Okay. Never mind then. Yeah. It was in Commander Legends, so never
Yep.
mind. Nobody cares. The Kaladesh Invention Scroll Rack is worth a small fortune, as all of the Kaladesh Invention cards happen to be.
Yep.
But the rest are all very reasonable. All right.
Look and see. Okay, so chat saying this is the middle school they know and love. Let's compare this match to what we saw in our first match this evening. Two very different kinds of play.
Well,
game 3 was different.
Yeah, that was goofy because we had these two decks that just really couldn't stop each other. They weren't really about creatures. Is this the Bone Shredder? Like Tabi Orangutan?
Oh my gosh, we're gonna nuke a Mux.
Yeah, David's going just let's play some crappy.
But now we've got a 2/2, which is like real pressure, right? So now we can attack for a decent amount every turn. Now Andrew's at 14, which is we're getting lower. We've added 2 more power to the board, so we can afford to.
Andrew's deck has been very unkind. We really just haven't been doing anything meaningful for several turns.
Yeah.
Andrew didn't have that scouting knowledge, so they didn't know to name Academy Rector. Sure. All right, so we're just gonna hardcast Gush.
Okay, this is actually good. Draw 2 cards.
Let's draw 2 cards.
Because we're getting closer to drawing into a good part of our deck, and once Andrew starts doing that, I think David's gonna have some real trouble.
Once we draw a Sea Drake or some Swords to Plowshares, we can kind of clean this mess up a little bit.
Yeah, Sea Drake would be a very big game. That will race David's board, I believe, fairly well.
Okay, we're playing doing something. Maybe we'll just play another meddling mage. What would we name?
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
All right, so here we go.
Andrew, you played the Tabi Ring and tank too soon. We need it now. Because now we just get to cash in all these lands and woof.
Womp.
All right. This is next turn.
I mean, I don't blame
really
David for doing that, right? Like we're kind of in the cripple fight and we're just trying to
but neither of our decks are firing on all cylinders, so we're just gonna put some more power on the board and mess around with creatures. So
what are we naming? What is the third meddling mage name? Do we just double up?
We've already concluded that Andrew doesn't have scouting knowledge. It's possible that the third one names Academy Rector, even though we've seen 2 of them. We don't want another Academy Rector showing up and messing up the works. But now Andrew's really going to get to go off and shuffle all these lands away and then get them back with the land tax. This is big game.
So David has 6 mana sources. A single activation from a Veteran Explorer is enough to hardcast a Chroma.
Yeah.
Which
yeah,
would be
that's a
real
thing.
pressure if it resolves.
Yeah, hardcasted Chroma would definitely be the biggest creature on this board. No doubt about it. Oh man, back in the day when a Chroma was like the best thing you could reanimate.
Yes, I remember that. I remember not too long after that when Kamigawa came out, I was animating Arcanus and then untapping it with the blue legend land that untaps a legend, so I could like draw 6 cards a turn.
Good times. All right, so Andrew's like, hey, we gotta start messing around. We can't just take all this chip shot damage. Let's just start blocking some creatures.
Yeah, I mean, blocking the Explorer is cool. David gets some basics, which only really matter if he's got. I mean, he gets a shuffle effect. Yeah, so getting the shuffle is nice.
Andrew's just like, yeah, just all right. So if that's what we're doing, if we're triggering Veteran Explorer, then Andrew should activate the scroll rack and put these lands back in their deck so they could get them. Maybe that's not even worth it. I think Andrew has all the lands that he needs. And now with the scroll rack and the lands still in their library, we can keep it going, get them. Oof! It's a trap. It's a trap. Admiral Akbar has shown up. So
are we? So is this in with the trigger Veteran Explorer triggered on the stack, or did we get, or are we missing the trigger?
Nobody has gotten any lands, but this says Flash. We just play it whenever. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna get some Grizzly Bears.
I don't think this is let's see. This is Veteran a May ability. Veteran, you may search. Yep, okay, you can miss it. It is a May. So they have, I'm going to assume that they've chosen, or this could still be on the stack.
Yeah, this could all be happening. Andrew's like, hey, let me cash out 7 cards for some new ones or something. Andrew's cashing out 4 cards, so 3 lands and 1 other brick, or possibly maybe days or something, who knows, or hitting the bin. Well, not the bin, but going back on top of the library. And then it will be shuffled away by the land.
So I believe this is in response to the Collar of the Claw. Okay, it is not resolved yet.
All right, nope, it looks
now
like
it is resolved. Okay, so
some Grizzly Bears.
No Force of Wills.
The anemic beatdown package is definitely working, and now David is going to go reaching for some basic lands. Andrew could go get basics. This is an interesting decision. I think Andrew is better served by having them still in the deck, so we can just keep putting them in our hand and then trading them out for real cards every turn.
Sure. Andrew can still search his library and fail to find, though, which may.
Yeah, but this way we're basically just like drawing 4 cards a turn. I think that's better than shuffle, than just.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is we can shuffle the deck. I mean, I guess we're going to shuffle in land tax anyway.
Yeah, we're going to shuffle with the land tax. Anyway.
We can search, fail to find, and still get a shuffle out of it for us to land tax again if we don't like the cards that we just drew off of scroll rack. And then we can resolve our land tax trigger and shuffle those away.
So in a couple of turns, like the way this game is going, neither player will have any lands in their deck, and their decks will be all action.
That's what you hope to do. That is one of the things that I love to do with my Build of the Rock was just recurring Nightmare 2 Veteran Explorers over and over and over again, and just tutor out all the lands in my deck, and then only have gas.
So yeah, now Webb is just living all the dreams. We get these 3 cards. We could at this point cash them in immediately, and they get them back again.
So notably, we see the basic Swamp, which is the only way to cast. Well, other than Diamond, other way to cast the Psychotog. So, I don't know if that indicates Andrew has it, or if he's just
Andrew's
preparing.
like, I don't want these lands. Get him out of here. Get him.
So, what does David accomplish last turn? He was able to get rid of a permanent,
on board,
get a damage, and now he's got 3 2/2s. Oh. That's not bad.
Also, it's worthy of note that David were to draw a recurring Nightmare. Recurring Nightmare plus Collar of the Claw could be interesting.
that is a good
Nightmare plus
combo.
Academy Rector could be interesting. So
yes.
the pressure really is on Andrew to start finding something to do. But
his engine is going. He has the ability to draw
drawing
cards.
6 cards a turn. I feel like something's gonna give.
You would hope so, but I mean, so David's got the 6 power. Andrew's at 13. That conceivably isn't a lot of time to
all
block.
Andrew has to do is play like a single creature, like a single Psychotog or a single Sea Drake says adios, like Grizzly Bear beatdown package.
Not wrong. Not wrong at all. All right, so Andrew's got a lot of stuff to maintain here. That was all in his upkeep, I believe. In between land tax triggers.
All right, so now we have to have a little bit of a think. How do we best manage our resources? If we've drawn a source to plowshares, I think that's like step one. If we got to get this Academy Rector on the board, I think that the easiest way for the game to go wrong for Webb is somehow the Academy Rector gets cashed in. So,
yeah, I think it's not have counterspell and David drawing Recurring Nightmare. That is the sequence of events.
Step one, the mediocre beatdown is over. Psychotog beats crappy creatures.
Yep.
Grizzly Bears are not going to get through the Psychotog. So we've stabilized. All right, Seal of Cleansing.
Okay. That does not beat a Recurring Nightmare.
It does not, but
doesn't matter. We're cashing it in.
Well, the Sylvan Library has been what's keeping David in the game.
Yep.
And David was also getting these shuffle effects from the Veteran Explorer and the Special Land. So now that's off the table. So it's all on board. And the fact that David hadn't been able to find it previously, we did get a shuffle. But now the advantage is definitely in Andrew's court. Andrew's got their engine online. Andrew's got the board stabilized with the Psychotog. The burden is on David to somehow get out of this Meddling Mage trap. Also, Andrew is moving to discard. Andrew's just really hurting. I don't know.
David's going to take another point to go down to 8 as he fetches here.
Sure. Is there like a wonder in Andrew's deck? That'd be hilarious. I don't think that there is. But a wonder would just be like, oh, I got you. Yeah, there's no wonder here. That would just be...
That'd be too much.
That'd be chef's kiss.
It would be. In the old versions, that's what we played extended.
Yep. So way back in the day, I was very excited, and I got a playset of the card Moat, and I put it into my deck. And my first round opponent at some random legacy tournament was playing Madness and had Wonder in their deck and killed me. And I was like, why is this card worth so much money? It doesn't do anything.
No.
And then later on in this tournament, I ran into someone playing White Weenie, but they randomly had a Kami of Lost Hope, which sacrificed to disenchant things as they blew up my mode and killed me. And I was like, wow, nice like $1 zillion Legends card. It just doesn't do anything.
So chat is asking if there's a pernicious deed that can be drawn. Which
I don't believe so, because David's deck by design is playing a bunch of its own permanents. Well, let's check that out.
I believe there is one in the 75. I do not
there's one
believe
in the
it
sideboard, but not
able
to
be acquired. Yep.
Yeah, it's really hard to put Pernicious Deed in your deck, which is full of mana creatures and 2-mana enchantments. But hey, what are we doing here? What
Chroma?
Are we going
Chroma?
Chroma?
Yeah, I've been calling it.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Andrew, do you have the Force of Will?
Do you have Force of
Will? We have Days mana. We have Days mana.
Yeah. Andrew's like, well, didn't see that one coming.
No.
All right.
All right. We have the Chroma, which is plenty of power to walk in here, and it can block this Psychotog for days.
So now we really need that Source to Plowshares, which we mysteriously just haven't drawn for a while here. But if not, we're just gonna get beat down by this classic Queen of the Skies, a Chroma Angel of Wrath. Haste, Vigilance, Trample, First Strike for no reason, Flying, Pro Red, Pro Black. All right, yeah, we've got the plow.
Oh, no.
The Fun Police. All right.
So this is a problem. We still have 2 blockers, so it's not the worst, but it's...
No, we're okay. Webb has enough life. We can eat one of these creatures. We're looking good.
David notably does gain some life, which is important.
Now that the Sylvan Library is off the table, it's not as big a deal as it would have been.
Yeah.
If the Sylvan Library was still there, David would be like, great, I get to draw 2 more cards. This is awesome.
So Andrew's going to eat one of the 2/2s, and David is going to scoop it up.
Doesn't want to play anymore. And the reason for that, I suspect, is, well, for one, Andrew's drawing 6 cards a turn. So it's strange credulity to believe that Andrew will break off. And the other problem is most of David's deck just doesn't work. David's deck has a lot of cards that just don't work if Survival of the Fittest isn't in play. And so Andrews was drawing like 6 cards a turn. He's going to find a way to break through. David says he's seen enough.
Yeah, I'm
Get
not
this
sure David
crispy
has
killer
any
card out
real
here.
ways to win effectively without the when he can't cast survival and he doesn't get to have his Acroma.
Yeah.
He's got a couple other like bigger creatures, but like that was it. That was the whale.
Yeah, actually, it's interesting. Like David's only other like real big creature would have been Palancron.
Yeah,
But
the
yeah,
other
all
whale.
of his other creatures are pretty unimpressive. So what is going on for both players in the sideboard? Let's talk about David. David has a pernicious deed, a swords to plowshares, 2 copies of duress. I don't know what Temple Acolyte does. I have to look that one up.
All right, chat. Can you race Woodrow? What's Temple Acolyte?
Well, I'd have Temple Acolyte. No, it's an anti-burn card, so that's not relevant here.
Oh,
So
sure.
yeah, David's not really packing a lot.
Okay, well, we say it's an anti-burn card, but David last on stream was able to demonstrate he has infinite loops with creatures and Recurring Nightmare. So this and Temple Acolyte ETBs and gains 3 life. So infinite loops means infinite life. So if we want access to infinite life, which will beat Andrew's deck, Psychotalk gets big, but not infinitely big.
That's a deep cut. I feel like if we're successfully doing survival things, we can execute in other ways.
I say that, but there's also a Spike Feeder we know from last stream in David's deck, so we have infinite life already. So
I'm not worried about that.
That was a very deep cut. So, and we saw David actually win on stream last week with Spike Feeder and doing it infinite times. He was able to then move infinite 1/1 counters onto Acroma and attack Hasty on the same turn.
Nice.
So, conceivably, instead of pumping up an Acroma, you could gain infinite life should you want to. So David just has to be able to execute the combo.
Yeah, basically, David isn't. I'm not seeing any like cool. If I were David, if I had like some extra creatures that were big to bring in, I would bring them in just in case my survival got shut down. I could just. We saw that game kind of devolved into like nothing going on. Also, extra disenchant effects if I had any.
Sure.
So there are some seal of cleansing, so we could break up Andrew's engine. That could be something that's meaningful.
Yep.
On Andrew's side,
he's got a lot of things.
Yeah, so he has 2 copies of Annul, which I like because if we're on the draw, 1 mana counter Survival of the Fittest is pretty meaningful.
Yep.
Also, we saw Sylvan Library countering that on the draw. That's pretty meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
There's another Seal of Cleansing. That's meaningful. After that, it gets hazy. There's this Back to Basics where you could potentially, punk out David with Back to Basics. On the draw, when your opponent deck has Veteran Explorer.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to justify that.
Yeah, and I don't feel that at all. Both players notably have a bunch of anti-burn cards in their sideboard. like I'm looking at all these like Temple Acolytes and Chills and this Cop Reds. So both players were prepared for red spells, but they don't really have a lot going on to like fight each other.
If you've played in our leagues before, you know that there are some people who always play red. And so you have to be prepared because they will check you every time if you are not ready. And like you mentioned before, goblins did win a league. So, we have shown that if you do not come prepared, you will get gut if you get paired against the red deck. So,
all right. So David's taking a mulligan. Andrew's going to keep. I feel like David's mana base is a little bit more ambitious, and David has more non-functional hands where you get some weird creatures in your hand that don't really do anything.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, the payoff for a functional Survival of the Fittest hand is very, very high. That card, if you have Survival of the Fittest going, you're casting Demonic Tutor and drawing an extra card every turn, and you can instantly recoup that. So it's very worth it to mulligan, especially a kind of marginally functional hand looking for survival. Webb knows what his job is. It's to stop survival in some way. So we need to have Force. We need to hand with the Null. We need to have Meddling Mage, something that can keep survival from happening. And then
even Days on the draw is fine. He's got a lot of tools.
And of course, both players do need to be mindful of their mana bases because they're both playing with 3-color decks. So that is something to be aware of. Both players have like weird fixing like City of Brass and Mox Diamond to allow them to cast their spells.
Yeah, it's interesting. A 3-color deck with Veteran Explorer. The way David seems to have built it does lean on that a little bit, which makes sense. You can use Veteran Explorer to color fix as needed. And Birds of Paradise helps. So, again, stretching sort of the mana base, it helps being a creature deck playing those same color creatures. So,
all right. While the players pause and do another gather search, Robert, important question.
Important question. Ready.
Best ramen in Austin, Texas. Go.
Best Robin in Austin, Texas?
Ramen.
Oh, ramen in Austin. Okay, I was like, I know one Robin. So, for a while there was like only Michi, and at the time Michi was good, and then Michi's has since changed to not being as good.
Oh no!
As their chef has left and someone else took over. But then you have Ramen Tatsuya, and it's kind of unfair because anything with Tatsuya at the end of it is usually pretty incredible. So Ramen Tatsuya can't go wrong. They've got a couple locations. There's a cool ramen place downtown. On like 6th or 7th Street or so. I would go to when I worked downtown. I don't know if it survived the pandemic. So
yeah, that's the other problem. But yeah, Ramen Tatsuya is still great. And David has a kind of not great opening. The naked reflecting pool is not the show's strength. Webb, on the other hand, is just keeping it, just has it every time.
Oh my goodness.
If David mulliganed looking for that turn 2 survival and got punked out by turn 1 meddling mage, which is that's not something you really consider a lot of the time. Well, what if my opponent turn 1 meddling mages me? Oh no.
What?
Oh no.
I guess it taps for black.
Hands.
It's just tap for black now. That is cute.
Okay, so that was our thing, but yeah, we're in a spot. If David doesn't have a green mana source coming up, we're gonna be doing nothing for a couple of turns and getting beat up by the grizzly bear that could.
So what do you think we name here?
It entirely depends on David's hand. The
sure,
if
swords,
you think you're gonna be
force, all
sitting
those
here
things.
doing nothing, yeah, it's just so bad. Like,
we can't even play a creature to follow up with this.
Yeah, if we're afraid of like maybe land tax, this is tough. Like, basically we have to name something that will slow Andrew down. Okay, so we name Force of Will.
Naming Force, I think that's fair. If our plan is to continue playing the game, Force will prohibit that.
Andrew
so this seems
should
fine.
definitely just slam the Sea Drake. Okay, our opponent is stumbling. They've shown us that their mana base isn't working. We need to put the game away. That would be my move. Make the best use of our mana. Play Sea Drake and just like put the pressure on David. Like, also the Sea Drake flies. It's very hard to stabilize against. And that's what Andrew's doing. He's like, yeah, I've got 6 power on the board on turn 2. What a goofy format.
So what's really fun about Sea Drake is if you cast Sea Drake off of 2 Mox Diamonds and a land, there's no drawback because the trigger requires 2 targets and you only have 1.
Or if you do Mox Diamond, Ancient Tomb, that was definitely a thing that happened. You just don't have to, it has no drawback. You just get this 4/3 flyer for 2 mana.
If that had been a basic forest, we could have played Pernicious Deed. But it's not a basic forest.
All right. So yeah, we talked earlier about the mana bases in this format not being the best. And David's deck is definitely kind of punishing him right now. Get a little hand caught in the cookie jar because we're this primarily green deck and we have black and white mana. What do we got? Monk Realist? What are we doing here?
Monk Realist? Mesmeric Fiend. Okay.
Mesmeric Fiend. Okay.
We're going to take this land tax.
All right. So
if we can deal with either the Sea Drake or, cast a relevant permanent, we have a chance.
We need to have Bone Shredder or Swords of Plowshares like right now because Andrews is putting on a lot of pressure. Funny story. We've already taken 2 damage. We're taking 6 a turn. So what is it? That's a 3-turn clock.
That is a 3-turn clock.
We're in some trouble here. Oh no! Andrew has a spell? That's not
Oh
fair.
my god!
That's not right.
Oh, so unlucky. So sorry, David. That is not.
rough beats.
That is rough.
All right, yeah. Now we just get to play the land tax.
Oh, but notably, what did we do? We increased the turn count by
Yeah,
1 because we gained a life.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would have done that. I don't know if I might have saved that source of pleasures for like a veteran explorer or birds or something.
Oh
But,
no, Andrew's
actually-
gonna cast that land tax and ride that to victory because now he gets to restock his hand and.
Yeah, but he's without the Psychotog or the scroll rack, like the extra lands aren't terrifically meaningful. Like those are the things that combine with the land tax. I'm sure David wishes he had a land tax right now. I mean, he'd have to bounce some lands or something, but that'd fix the problems. All right, yeah, take that.
Get out of here, land tax.
Yeah, get out of here, land tax. I don't want to pay taxes.
Abolished.
Yeah. Like, why would you do that? You're throwing your own tea into the harbor, David. What is that about? Oh no! Oh no! Some Psychotog. Okay, well, now David looks like a genius. Yeah, we knew that land tax was dangerous. A single activation of the land tax is like +5 damage off Psychotag. So, yeah, Dave. Okay.
Green source.
Green mana.
Okay, do we have the deed? Do you have the deed?
Start
deed
playing
check.
some magic because
deed. That's not deed mana.
Play a veteran explorer or academy.
No,
Rector?
it's an academy. Okay. It's a blocker. Okay. It's a very relevant blocker.
So flashing back with all therapy doesn't get us anywhere, but we can just throw this guy under the bus.
We could get deed with it if deed's in the deck, and deed will buy us. Well, we can get deed next turn if we want to. Yeah, we can at least block.
Okay, Andrew doesn't care. Andrew's just gonna attack. Like there was a line where Andrew could just attack with the Siege Rake and leave the ground pounders back. That would have been a more conservative route. Andrew, as we've demonstrated, does not know what's in David's deck, so Andrew may not be aware that Pernicious Deed is like something that he could potentially get wrecked by. It doesn't even matter because if David wanted to get rid of this, apparently David just took it.
Why didn't I?
Because we can sack it with the Volrest to get like 2 black mana.
Had 1 extra life.
Apparently the mana matters. We could get this 2 black mana.
Wait, there's no way that David is actually at 1 because he should be dead with the cards that are in Andrew's hand and graveyard, right?
Yes. So clearly we don't know what the life total information is. I don't think that they updated it from the last game or something. So David's hanging out at 8
maybe
life.
they didn't. Maybe they did. I'm not sure because that's
So, I mean, David should be low. Because 2 plus 6. We should be in the
chat is saying that he blocked the Tog and didn't pump and
okay, interesting. So in that case we probably should have blocked the
I think they're missing that they should have died.
Yeah, I mean, no, if you block the Psychotog and don't pump the Tog is
we're Volrathing. Okay, we're strongholding.
Yeah, so Andrew probably just didn't know that Pernicious Deed was a card that would happen here.
Right,
so,
and we're using that mana to blow things up. This is good.
All right, sad beats. So,
all right,
yeah, this is back to 0.
David's here. Can't take mana burn. Can cast a survival if it's in his hand. He's got the green mana. Oh no, that's only 1. No,
birds. All right, sure.
Birds is not survival.
Birds of Paradise versus the world. Andrew has definitely spent all his resources trying to close the door.
Yeah.
And at least now Andrew is cognizant that Pernicious Deed is a card in David's deck.
Phyrexian Tower, not Stronghold. Why did I don't know why, chat. I keep calling it Stronghold. I appreciate you for correcting me.
Because they look the same. Okay, if we're looking at it from like they both have that. They make black mana, or actually, Valor Stronghold does not make black mana, but they both have that weird art.
I'm just wrong. I'm just actually wrong.
No, I totally understand where we're going with this. So David's like, all right, I kept his hand for a reason. It's time to run away with the game. Show us what you got, David. We successfully stabilized. We cast this Plague Wind and Stone Rain. What else is in the tank?
Come on, show us what you got. Oh, man, I want to see the hammers come. 4 mana. Oh, we got another Rector. Okay.
Okay, sure.
And we have Cabal Therapy. We can activate this right now.
Yeah, we have Tower and Therapy. What do we even name here?
I would name Seela Cleansing.
Sure. It doesn't really. Oh, so important note: order of operations. The first thing that will happen is we'll get our survival into play, or whatever our enchantment is, and then we'll resolve the therapy.
Yep.
But yeah, Seal of Cleansing is a good name.
That's what I would name, because it's the one card that stops what I'm doing with Rector.
Yeah.
All right. I guess they're gonna chat about something, which is fine. Ooh.
All right. Well,
Andrew
Andrew's
reveals
hand.
some basic
Got
islands.
a pair of islands. Very strong.
Did we know about those islands? No, all the lands that were returned have already been played. Okay. All right, so David's going to go grab a card. It is a survival, as expected.
Yeah, it's time for that.
We're going to shortcut and search right now.
Yeah, we're going to activate some more and just go get some creatures.
Looks like the answer may be no. Maybe David's thinking about doing it, but doesn't want to be tapped out. Or maybe he doesn't have any more creatures. It looks like he's got a card, maybe 2 in hand. So this is where we can kind of compare to other Rector decks, right? So other Rector decks like to immediately go for Form of the Dragon, which would
Form of the
beat
Dragon
Andrew.
would be pretty good. Yeah, Andrew's deck really can't beat that card.
No.
All right, so maybe David really isn't one. If he plays the City of Brass and moves it off to the side, that indicates that we're not going to be tapping City of Brass for mana.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess David
I almost wouldn't even put it in play. I mean, I guess it makes Reflecting Pool tap for everything, so that's reasonable. But
yeah. Also, like by putting it in play, we run the risk of allowing a land tax to be active.
Yep.
There's no like Urborg in this format. There's no way around it. What are we doing? Okay, we're gonna plow the birds. Ha. Sure. Okay. Yeah,
sure.
Whatever.
It does get rid of a creature for recurring Nightmare.
Well, if we plow the birds, there's only one source of green in play. That doesn't deal any pain.
2. There's that's true. They only
they all do, the brush land and the City Brass all paint us. So
yeah, so we are constrained on our.
Doesn't really work. But that's not even a big deal. We could just go get the Veteran Explorer and go get 2 forests. So this is
yes,
not a long-term solution.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to get. We can't get Veteran Explorer now because
we can get it and just cast it next turn. That's fine.
We can. We have time. This is true.
Yeah, like we know that Andrew just is like on stone nothing right now, so there's no rush.
This is a.
It's actually very reasonable from Andrew's perspective to concede in a turn or two. It's the same situation David was facing where I don't have anything and my opponent's engine is online and they're generating all this value. Yeah, so I would not blame Andrew for conceding in about 2 turns.
Notably, too, here is now that we have the squee, we can actually. Oh, Wall of Root's a good draw. Good grab. But we can actually just play a blocker every turn. We have the untapped red mana.
All right, the Wall of Roots basically takes off to blow up the birds route.
Yeah, we had a basic forest too. That was really good. All right,
we need pretty much. It doesn't matter. Like whatever creature that Andrew would top deck to kill David could just go tutor up some answer. So
Chad is saying that they hope Andrew manifests a Rishadan into his deck.
Yeah, some ice.
Despite the fact that it is not in his 75, that would be a cool thing. We've seen the Oath kill. We haven't seen a City Brass kill yet that way. Right. So
ice the City
We'd like to check it off our bingo card.
So we've got Andrew in the stranglehold. With every passing turn, there's just less and less oxygen. There's fewer outs for Andrew to come back into this game.
Yeah, I think David has.
All right. Oh, now David's going to go gain some life. So now David can't even accidentally kill themselves with the City of Brass. So that's very reasonable. Good decision.
That is that's very good because that counters a Sea Drake for a turn. We can gain our 4 life if we want. Yeah, just play that. And honestly, we can actually start attacking with that if we want. Start putting on the aggro. I know David does have a combo kill. We have seen it on stream. I don't think we are. Excuse me. I don't think we're close to that yet. We're not far because we can tutor up another Rector and use that to grab a recurring nightmare.
Yeah.
And the combination goes with recurring nightmare and Palinchron. Palinchron will untap our lands. We'll just keep casting this over and over again. But we're not quite there yet. But we're not far off from it, and Andrew has no pressure.
Yeah.
And
It
no
really
way to
doesn't
apply
matter.
pressure.
Like a stiff breeze can win this game. We don't need to like make infinite mana and infinite power. Like just casting Palinchron and attacking with our 4/5 flower would be enough to put this game away. We're doing some counting. Maybe it's time to cast a Chroma and just beat down with the Angel of Wrath. Really, we can do whatever we want.
I think if we can't, yeah. Well, I think we're looking to see if we can survival what's in our hand. I don't think we're ready to do that yet. I think we're just gonna untap and get a free card.
Yeah, why not?
Because the Wall of Roots is sort of still free.
Who doesn't love casting Demonic Tutor every turn?
People who are playing against that agent that
Opposition agent.
Opposition agent. There you go. Those are people who don't want to cast Demonic Tutor every turn. Other than that small minority. All right, David. I want to see how it works. Make it happen. If I'm David, I'm just like, okay, how do I not lose? How do I not lose? I've gotten this far.
Yeah, I think it's kind of sewn up. There's no card like Upheaval or something in Andrew's deck where he can come back from behind like this.
No, but Andrew does have 2 cards that are unknown, so he could have forced a Worldless blue card, so he has to be careful about making sure he doesn't just expend resources.
No, it doesn't even matter. Okay, let's say that we play something and it gets like Force of Will. Oh no, Andrew just mind twisted himself and we're drawing all these extra cards.
Well, okay.
We'll just go get it all back later.
That is true. But like, yeah. All right, so
we're gonna go.
We're gonna grab a Rector.
Yeah, we go play the Rector. We sack the Rector. We get the recurring nightmare. We start bouncing back our Palinchron and making unlimited mana. And then, some other stuff is going to happen.
So it looks like we can cast the Rector this turn.
Oh,
we are not daze proof though, unless we utilize. Oh, we're gonna utilize the city to go down to 2. Okay, so that's fine. Now we can play Rector through days. And we'll just see if there's a Force of Will.
Yeah. This game's over.
All right, we're going to sack it. All right, yeah, here we go.
Sack to the tower.
Yep. Yeah, now the game is over because now we're going to untap.
Yeah, we get the recurring nightmare. Keep waving in the Palinchron, generating a zillion, generate infinite mana.
Yep.
We can also gain 2 life with each iteration of this loop.
This is what he did last time. He would do it this way, and this allowed him to gain infinite life. So
yeah, we can gain infinite life and make infinite mana.
Yep.
And then after that, we can put infinite counters. But
if we have
none of our creatures will be able to attack.
If we have a creature in hand, we can tutor for the Chroma and win this turn.
So the game could be won this turn very easily.
Yep.
And even if it isn't won this turn, infinite life is a functional win against Andrew's deck. Andrew's deck wins by attacking with creatures.
Yep. Right.
All right, but it looks like we have a creature since we're tapping a green, so we can go get the Chroma, have a hasty creature, and then generate infinite mana.
Now we can draw the deck too if we wanted.
Yeah, we don't even need to do that. Chroma plus infinite mana and then moving the spike counters around to make our Chroma infinitely huge. Or Caller of the Claw, sure. Let's make an infinite number of grizzly bears. I mean, they can't attack this turn, so I feel like that's kind of showboaty, but sure.
Just has to make sure he's still at 2 life, so he has to make sure he doesn't tap City Brass incorrectly. Now we have infinite creatures too, if we really want all of that.
Yeah, okay, so we're just gonna do all the things this turn. We're gonna draw all the cards. make all the mana, gain all the life, make infinite creatures, and then we'll make them infinitely large with our Spike Feeder because we can.
Okay, so this is where we get to figure out does Andrew have force in hand? We don't have okay, we do have enough black mana because we do still have the city and life to spare. Because we have to make sure that we can cast until we go through a couple cycles. We have to have 2 black mana to cast Nightmare twice.
Yeah.
So playing the Color of the Claw now makes more creatures for us to sack away, pitch away.
I guess I feel like the collar is kind of unnecessary.
It's just giving us extra resources now so that we can Nightmare a few extra times. So now we can, put Palinchron back in, get a Spike Feeder.
Yeah.
What did we sacrifice Palinchron to? Oh, to the
tower.
Tower. That makes more sense. That saves us an iteration too. We can get mana faster that way. All right, so this is definitely better. He's played this deck a little bit more than I have, that's for sure. All right. So this demonstrates more or less infinite mana, infinite creatures, because each time we sacrifice a creature, we're going to generate more bears.
All right, so yeah, we're saying, we've got this loop, we can make all this mana, and then we'll float all this mana, and then we'll infinitely bring back our Spike Feeder and gain infinite life and make all our creatures infinitely large, which is definitely sufficient to beat Andrew's deck. Andrew does not have a way to beat infinite life.
This is actually, so Dave is going to demonstrate the loop. He's going to say, I've got a Chroma in my deck. I'm going to make infinite Spike Feeders and transfer infinite counters onto it and attack you and kill you this turn.
Well, a Chroma in the deck is only meaningful if David has another creature in their hand. But even by itself,
no, because we have the Wall of Blossoms, so we can draw the deck.
Oh yeah. With the Wall of Blossoms, we can just draw. So yeah, nothing really matters.
Yeah.
Anyone can see. Nothing really matters to me, or David in this case, because David can do whatever they want.
Yeah, David has he's assembled the resources, despite the fact that he was a slugfest in the beginning.
Yeah, we definitely stumbled around, but Andrew not being cognizant of Pernicious Deed kind of led to. And I'm not sure what Andrew could have done differently with regards to the deed, because David had a way to blow up his own creature. So I think Andrew just played as aggressively as they could, and
I think David is trying to make sure his mana lines up appropriately to make this infinite. I believe it does, because he can go gain an inordinate amount of life first, and he nets a mana. He nets at least 1 life each time, even through the City of Brass. So I believe he.
Oh, okay. So the reason that we had to go get the Color of the Claw is we only have 6 lands in play. So to get the Palinchron to work, we need to Recurring Nightmare twice.
Yes.
That takes 6 mana. So with only 6 lands in play, we're not netting any additional mana on these loops.
Sure.
But with the Collar of the Claw, we can make these extra creatures and then sack them to the tower. That way, with each iteration of the loop, we are generating extra mana.
Yes. So that
also
makes sense.
The Wall of Roots, we could remove a counter. So I really feel like it. Yeah, Andrew's like, I feel like I've seen enough. I don't.
We have established it.
Yeah, you're doing some stuff.
I think Andrew was like, okay, you have to at least define it. Like I know it's there. We both know it's there, but you have to find the line. That's what I assume is happening, which makes sense because it's not as straightforward as a lot of other combos.
Kind of a mess. Yeah, I don't think either player is going to change for game 3. It's Andrew can keep more hands. They don't have to just always have Mox Diamond.
Right.
Also, it's important to note if Andrew had been on the die roll, they'd have won. Andrew would have just rumbled in with their creatures and killed David before anything could have been done there. So I feel like Andrew does have the advantage going into game 3 by being on the play. More hands are keepable.
So
go ahead.
While our players shuffle up and decide if they're going to sideboard some more, I've got another important question to present to you.
Go ahead.
It was suggested earlier today that there should be a fantasy Magic, football or fantasy football equivalent for Magic leagues. And so they got me thinking that would be really fun, especially because I'm not playing in this league and I want to do something fun that makes me live vicariously through people. But I don't even know how that would happen. How would we do a fantasy Magic league? What is that? Do we draft players?
I'm gonna have to say that I don't know how that works because I don't play fantasy football. Sorry.
I've played once, so
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Chat, figure it out for us. Tell us how it works. How do we do? Because there's only so many players per league, and so you can't like draft everybody. But like maybe you can draft. Okay, I guess you could draft everybody. You could draft 8 players. I don't know. You guys figure it out. Let us know in our Discord. Make this happen. And if we can have concrete rules that actually make sense, I'll make it happen. I'll run it. It'll happen.
All right, I'm gonna step away for just half a second while they're shuffling, and I'll be right back.
You got it.
Whoop.
Okay, yeah, enough of that. That was me filling dead air. All right, so our opponents are going to shuffle. They're all friends. They're probably chatting, having fun. This is kind of fun, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. We've got 11 of you watching right now. Greatly appreciate it. We did try to move to a later time tonight. We are an hour later than we normally are. So if you like this, let us know. If you wish we started on time, our previous time, which was 7 p.m. Central instead of 8, let us know as well. We're trying it out. We're probably going to try it out for the rest of this league. It does accommodate some of our players a little bit better. So let us know what you guys think. As well as if you have any other comments, concerns, kudos, whatever you need, you can reach us in our Discord at any time. So it looks like Andrew's going to pull out his hand. He's going to wait to look at it.
All right, I'm back.
Woodrow is back. It's Mary. It's wonderful. It's a middle school.
No, middle school is actually an awful, awful place.
This is very true. So this is a middle school webcam league. Romantic the Stones does host other events. We do host some vintage. We do host some old school. If you like vintage and old school, you are in luck. You do have the opportunity to travel to Houston in a couple weeks from now, where there is a doubleheader Saturday-Sunday event featuring both old school and vintage with our friends in Houston. So we're based in Austin, Texas for the most part, but we do have a lot of friends all around the great state, including Houston. So we were partnering with them. It'll be a lot of fun. Never done a doubleheader before, so it'll be really fun for us to just kind of hang out all weekend long. If you're in the Texas area or feel like traveling on a moment's notice, check it out. There are more details in our Discord. What are we calling it? We're calling it Houston Hurricane Weekend. So if you like hurricane card, or if you like hurricanes, the weather phenomenon, might be the event for you. All right, chat, over under on Meddling Mage turn 1. What do we think?
Well, I mean, Andrew doesn't have to like mulligan for the turn 1 mage because Andrew's on the play. So I'll accept Meddling Mage on turn 2. I don't think Meddling Mage turn 1 is going to happen though.
Okay.
Also, Daze is like super good now. Andrew's on the play.
Sure. So over under on Meddling Mage turn 2. Over, clearly it's Andrew.
Oh, it looks like David did have to mulligan. And like I said, David's deck's a little more unstable.
Yep.
All right, Andrew's fetching. So what are we doing here? Are we getting a land tax? Like, if we're not playing Meddling Mage on turn 1, yeah, land taxes are only.
It has to be land tax. Okay. Yep. So shields down for Daze, shields up for Force.
Well, on turn 1,
David
can't really do anything meaningful. You know, we can play a bird, maybe a
we can call therapy.
Something. We can therapy, sure.
What do we name if we're therapying? Do we name Meddling Mage or do we name Force?
Well, we just play bird. How about that?
Oh, well, that answers the question. We play the bird.
Caw-caw! All right.
Bird.
And there's no Meddling Mage at all.
Oh.
So what do we got here? What's going on, buddy?
All right. Is this a sign of the apocalypse, chat?
I mean, I think this is a sign of days. I'm just hearing this. I'm just reading this days loud and clear, which thankfully the
This could
bird
even be
lets us
double
play
days.
through.
Double days
Yeah,
would be
we could
real.
double days. But yeah, we're gonna call. Oh, that's not.
Oh, that's not even calling the
survival.
bluff.
So
But they just
we
play around
did-
double days pretty well.
Yeah, so days is definitely just like a dead zone magic card at this point. So yeah, what do we got going on here?
Days just pitched to force. Oh no, we're
if-
playing into days. No,
If I can daze anything at all, I'd probably do it just to trigger this land tax. But it depends on the rest of my hand.
Mesmeric Fiend.
Mesmeric
Okay,
Fiend, it seems like
this is gonna
something
eat a
I'd want
daze.
to daze.
Yeah, we're gonna daze this.
Yeah, get out of here. Like that daze was just like that was the Andrew might as well like play that daze face up. Like why would you keep this hand? There must be a daze. So the thing is, now Andrew isn't applying any pressure. So David's mana is online. Andrew's drawing a bunch of basic lands, but Andrew's not like beating down or anything. So Andrew's going to need to show us a little more than land tax in a days. That's not going to win a game by itself. All right.
Yep,
Meddling Mage. Winter Orb. Okay. That's not so good.
No.
When our opponent has a bunch of mana creatures in play, Winter Orb is a less exciting magic card.
I sense a Sea Drake coming next turn.
Yeah, Sea Drake. Well, we can't even play the Sea Drake next turn unless we have a Mox Diamond.
Oh, this is so true.
So it's dubious.
Okay, well, yeah, keep this. Keep the city tap. Yeah, no,
we're definitely slowing the game down, but David right now, because of the mana creatures, is operating more powerfully under the Winter Orb than Andrew is. So yeah, I was like, yeah, I mean, Winter Orb is actually very good against Survival of the Fittest.
Yep.
Oof, that hurts pitching the gush. Because Survival takes so much mana, but Wall of Roots plays very effectively here.
Yeah, I agree. Right. Strong agree.
All right, so we're at this kind of like steady state. Yeah, really, Andrew's hand, despite being bigger, is not meaningful if your hand is just a bunch of basic lands. Meddling Mage. Okay, never mind. So now Andrew is looking pretty good. We can just cash out.
Well, but we can't even, like, all the extra cards we draw, we still can't cast them because of this Winter Orb.
Yeah, this is weird.
And David has all this. David has all his mana again. Look, Winter Orb has done nothing but hurt Andrew.
Yeah, I don't know about this Winter Orb.
I say it's hurt Andrew. We'll see. We'll see what if it maintains that way, but it's not.
Yeah. Also, like the scroll rack takes mana. This is kind of punishing.
Right.
We need to draw Mox Diamond like.
And look,
yesterday.
the second survival. Okay. Andrew has one unknown and two unknowns and two knowns. Okay.
Yeah, we're in trouble. All right. So.
And we have another land too. Okay.
Okay.
Well, we get a free activation off the wall. I don't know if we cash it in here. We probably cash it in here.
What do we get?
Chat asking for double days pizza rolls. Sure.
Ooh, yeah. I could go for some pizza rolls right now. I really want ramen. How late is Ramen Tatsuya open? It's probably gonna be closed.
Yeah, at this hour.
Boo. All right.
Yeah, I think at this point you have to make your own ramen.
No, my ramen's never as good. It's so frustrating.
It's all in the broth, man. I can't make good broth like they do. But I also probably don't have bones sitting in a broth.
Yeah, they're probably kidnapping children and putting them into the broth. That's why it's so good. It's like, ooh, nothing. You want that bone broth? Nothing's better than kids.
If any of you out of towners do visit Austin and want to know where to eat, anywhere that has a name followed by Tatsuya qualifies as a good restaurant. They have
ramen. Go ahead. Yeah.
They have let's say Ramen Tatsuya, Tiki Tatsuya, which is a tiki restaurant.
I haven't been there yet.
Dip is a Tatsuya restaurant. Actually, you can get Wagyu beef from Japan there. Actually, if you're into that, experience.
Fancy. It's important to note that Andrew, that David used Survival of the Fittest to just go get Birds of Paradise to play through the Winter Orb. So the Winter Orb's really putting the hurting on Andrew and not David. David does not care. David's like, look at all these mana creatures. So we're in some trouble. Yeah, I think this Winter Orb was where the game got away from us.
So yeah, there's not a real good way to bounce that.
Nope.
I'm very curious what the reasoning is behind that.
Well,
I mean, obviously we're seeing it now, but
Survival of the Fittest is a very mana hungry deck, but just in the context of the board where our opponent had a bunch of mana creatures in play,
yeah.
the Winter Orb was looking pretty dubious, and we're kind of seeing that play out here.
Yeah, because if I'm Andrew, I don't think I can even afford to activate Scroll Rack because Force of Will, like Force of Will is the only card I'm looking for, or maybe Swords to Plowshares, but I don't want to use my mana to get there because then I'm not spending time developing the board unless I just play on my land. But then I'm not land taxing because we already can't land tax now. So the Scroll Rack doesn't even do that much. Monk Realist. Oh,
right.
Ultimate punishment.
Yeah, we're just like kind of fun policing the situation. So we're gonna blow up this land tax. So I guess we can play some more lands if we want to.
I guess we're scroll racking our entire hand for a Force of Will.
Yeah, well,
if we don't have that makes me think that Andrew didn't even have a blue card in his hand.
Yeah, I think Andrew's just kind of running on empty there.
And now he's gonna be scroll rack locked.
Yeah, this is bad.
Well, this is not how Andrew drew it up, that's for sure. And now David doesn't even do much more. He's got a 2/2.
Well, David should probably play. Okay, well, David has a 1/1. David should probably put some more power onto the board, but
yes,
that'll be very trivially easy to accomplish with the Survival of the Fittest in play.
Yep, we have the resources that we need. We've got 3 activations a turn without tapping any of our mana sources.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what Andrew is like looking for to draw out of this. Like, let's say we open. So if we just Seal of Cleansing away the survival right now, that's actually pretty meaningful because David only has 1 card in hand. There's not a lot going on. So if we blew up the survival, then we're kind of just like not doing. Oh, okay. Now the Winter Orb is starting to look good. We've got a max diamond, so we actually have a lot of mana.
Okay, that is a big get.
Meddling Mage. The survival is already here.
We can name Rector. Rector's is an okay name. But we can just go get Bone Shredder.
Yeah, I don't, see, that's where the Bone Broth is coming. We've got the Bone Shredder. Killing
meddling mages?
Yeah, killing meddling mages and turning them into delicious ramen.
All right, what other sides go with our meddling mage ramen?
Meddling mage ramen. Yeah, I mean, isn't like there's a creature like Hardy Brindleboar that like you sacrifice to gain life. It's like good in battle, hardy in stew. Put the Brindleboar into my ramen, please. Give me that pork broth. All right, what are we doing here? So I'm also curious what has been meddled. When survival's already in play.
Right.
David's deck is just like a bunch of singletons at this point. I'm not sure what you meddle with the survival already online. Yeah, it's just really hard to. It could be anything, All right, so we just go get the Bone Shredder. Bone Saw is ready. So yeah, adios.
I have not heard that in a long time.
Oh yeah.
Not heard that in a very long time.
Now that Marvel has purchased those properties, I believe that. They didn't purchase Sony, but now that that's part of the Marvel universe, that is the first Marvel movie, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. All right, Monk Realist, just like sending that message, dealing that 1 power of damage, just like get wrecked. Can't beat the monk.
Yeah, I think Chet's saying that we could have also named Nightmare. I think with the Bone Shredder, almost anything was irrelevant.
Yeah, all right. So we'll play this. This is the big dude, but with the survival, there are no sacrifice outlets. So if we go get Academy Rector, we can't kill it right away. But as soon as we do, or as soon as a recurring nightmare shows up in some fashion, no creatures are relevant. I mean, we can't Bone Shredder down a Psychotog because Psychotog is a black creature. But
Right.
yeah, it's just really hard to lose when you're casting Demonic Tutor every turn. Funny story. Funny story. But for now, just like Kung Fu Monk, staying hum. Man, we should get like Alter on Monk Realist, and we should do like a panda. It should be Poe from Kung Fu Panda.
I would love that,
who
actually.
also likes to eat noodles. Maybe not ramen noodles, but Poe definitely likes noodles.
I imagine that he appreciates ramen noodles.
Yeah, Poe's definitely a faux eater, a faux that's
I'm on board.
Preference. And that's fine. I respect it. Oh, also, didn't we know that Andrew was scroll rack locked? So whatever those top 4 cards are, we know that I think 3 of them are lands. So Andrew's kind of looking.
He's not untapping, so it's not like he's going to cast them all anyway. But yeah, they're all lands, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're not looking good. Next turn we can draw and we can scroll rack again and hope like we know the top 2
Web
lands
shuffled.
And the 2...
Web had a fetch land.
Oh, fetch land. Okay, Web's been saved by the fetch land. So we get these rebuys. So we're actually still sort of kind of in the game. Uh-oh.
What can Web draw in this position?
All right, so now that Web has bounced a bunch of lands, it's reasonable to blow up the... Oh, okay, now we're going to lock it up. Yeah, we're going to blow up this Mox Diamond. That's looking good. Yeah, I like it.
Scroll Rack and Winter Orb aren't really doing much against you right now in this board state.
Yeah. And in a turn or two, we can get rid of the Sea Drake. Yeah, Web's deck does not have powerful come back from behind type cards. So once we get into this situation, we're probably just in a lot of trouble. Okay, we're gonna plow something. We're gonna play land tax. All right, land tax. All right, so Web is the beatdown. We've got to close out this game before some sort of infinite combo is assembled. Which,
yes. I mean, right now, Web is winning the race because David also has 3 power on board, so we could attack for 3 and start cracking back. And I think the math favors Andrew. If nothing else changes, we know that's not going to happen. At least we assume. Oh, man. Well, it is worth noting both these players are undefeated so far. So the winner of this does move into a really strong position to make the top 8. If you've been around for leagues before, you know that we do cut to top 8. The semifinals, or quarterfinals rather, will play off camera, but we do host the semis and the finals.
That is big game. Sea Drake, stop flying around and beating on people and go farming, please.
Go farming.
Yeah, wow. That is unfortunate for Andrew because we needed to get some chip damage in and try and close out this game. And now we're just going to get beat up by some Tabi orangutans.
This game feels locked up. This game...
Yeah, it's really hard.
I think David is being a little conservative, but I don't think he has to not be. By any means.
Yeah, there's no reason to allow Web back into the game. Yeah, like I like what's the problem? Mana. We'll just go get more mana. Why we're casting Stone Rains on people's Mox Diamonds.
Right.
We're drawing an extra card every turn. We have all the resources we need.
Yeah, until we have a sacrifice outlet anyway. Like any of the stuff that we go get doesn't really matter. We need a Rector to get the recurring nightmare. And until then, Paladin Crown untaps our lands, which is humorous against Winter Orb, but...
Yeah. That would be pretty funny. Paladin Crown. But yeah, there's really nothing in Andrew's deck that like there's no like hibernation or upheaval or anything like that could really undo this damage. All right, so Web is like, I'm going to cash in these cards because we're about to trigger this land tax, so we get to shuffle away these bad cards. And
sure, we had another land tax. Well, considering what kind of handicap Andrew put on himself, he is still in this game ever so slightly.
Yeah, that's a term we're going to use pretty loosely. Is he really, though?
Yeah, I don't know if he's got any single cards that answer this board very well. I mean, he's going to see a lot of cards, potentially, but he doesn't...
Like, the Psychotog doesn't fly, so even if we, cast this Psychotog that was super huge, which it would be, we could just chump it out with some dorks, like more or less indefinitely until we assembled our recurring nightmare combo. And just there's too many hoops to jump through.
I mean, so let's say Andrew drew a Seal of Cleansing and could blow up this survival now. You know, David gets, 3 activations at most right now. That might be plenty to just be fine.
Okay, Gush, sure. We're just drawing a bunch of cards. So really the best card that Andrew could have is probably not in his deck. If Andrew had a Powder Keg or an Engineered Plague so they could just kill all the birds, that would be the most impactful play that Andrew could make. But
sure.
I would be very surprised if either of those cards were in the deck at this time.
Yeah. No, I agree. Engineered Plague would be hilarious.
Engineered Plague on bird.
That would be very humorous.
All right, we're just gonna pass.
Is it? So it used to be Mana Birds. Is Birds of Paradise just a bird now?
I think it's just bird. The bird is the word. Oh man, back in the day,
it is a bird. Just a bird.
This card was such hotness. Everybody was like desperate to get Birds of Paradise, and you just couldn't find them. And now this card's been reprinted into oblivion, and unless it's beta, nobody really cares.
When I first started playing Magic,
or 7th edition. 7th edition will be accepted.
Sure. When I first started playing, having a set of birds was like defined.
That was a flex.
It was a flex, and it was also like, oh, you're a player who has the cards. It was like that and like Force of Will for me. It was like getting a set of birds and getting a set of Force of Will, like next leveled me. Even though I didn't have any other cards for the decks, like those were the cards.
All right. On that note, David is staying with the Stone Rain plan. I have no doubt the Seal of Cleansing is going to blow up Mox Diamond because Andrew needs to play like multiple spells in one turn to get back into this game.
Yeah.
So I would just go for the Stone Rain. At this point, Andrew's engine is very mana hungry. I would blow up anything except Winter Orb. Anything else, I would blow up and probably be happy with my decision. But probably Mox Diamond is a very reasonable decision. All right,
and
we're gonna All right, this card showed up like 20 turns too late.
Oh
but sure,
my goodness!
We're gonna stop this disenchant from happening.
That is, I mean, that it is late. But yeah, we get to keep Andrew gets to keep playing because otherwise you're right. 2 mana Stone Rain is real good.
All right, whatever.
Just keep on surviving.
Yeah, keep casting Demonic Tutor. What are we gonna do? We're gonna go get like birds number 4. Like, what's going on?
I mean, I can't see it. We've got to start closing this in, right? I'm amazed that we don't actually have any real way to tutor a sacrifice effect. The closer we have is Bone Shredder for our own Rector.
The Bone Shredder's in the graveyard,
which is a problem.
All right, yep. Fourth more mana. Maybe the Chroma's in hand again. We're just like, this is a Chroma online.
Well, we're tapping our lands, which is not indicative of casting a Chroma ever.
Well, using the Wall of Roots would kill the Wall of Roots, so.
Yeah.
Okay, Webb's going to take some exciting game actions and do all this tutoring and get all this value in such a fashion that may not be relevant to the outcome of the game. But who are we to begrudge people, letting their deck do its thing?
I mean, Andrew is still in the game. A Sea Drake will block for days, and you let him attack, and that might be enough pressure in and of itself. Because as you noticed before, David doesn't have any real creatures outside of combo killing. So it's not like we can just go get a 4/4 and then, battle. So, if Andrew can follow up with, a pair of threats, maybe.
Yeah, we're going to need... It's just so funny, David's been in this commanding position for so long, but so few of the cards in his deck actually do anything. Like we've had Demonic Tutor every turn, and we've used it to just get a land, basically.
A land we have to cast.
Yeah, like if we could, been Demonic Tutoring for some actual creatures, something to put
now,
the game away.
I will note that had Andrew not played Winter Orb, David would have all the resources, I believe, to kill
Oh yeah,
Andrew?
Andrew actually would be dead.
So
All
maybe
right,
when
so
Orb
more
has done
Mox
something.
diamonds.
All
All
right,
right, so
well that's really good
now
for
Andrew
Andrew.
is actually playing Magic. Like we can play our spells pretty easily through the Winter Orb without being disadvantaged by it. So
We're in
play
the
some
realm where
dudes.
we could do Sea Drake, and oh, there's one.
Yep,
Cool,
yep,
and that
yep.
means next turn we can cast it for all of the value.
Yeah.
Oh, are we
What
gonna
else we got?
swords? Swords?
Sword something? And are any of these creatures worth swordsing? Yeah, I would not.
No.
I would not swords any of these creatures. All right, whatever.
Yep.
So this game is just so weird. I still feel like David is winning, but he really should be doing something other than play Birds of Paradise. It would be nice if this turn in our game of Magic we did something a little more exciting.
Well, we just need to draw the enabler, right? We need to draw
Like Cabal
either
Therapy,
the Cabal Therapy,
the
the
Tower.
Tower, Nightmare, something.
Yeah.
That's what we're missing.
It's a little goofy. Usually in games I've played, when Survival of the Fittest was in play and getting activated every turn for 4 turns, like my opponent was dead. Like I just had a bunch of like, loyal retainers of Chroma, or I got the madness about a bunch of arrogant worms, like, or there'd be Vengevines running around. I'm unused to this scenario where I've activated Survival 4 turns in a row and we're still playing Magic, or I've got Angry Trade Win Survival and I bounced all their permanents. This is very odd.
Chad is pointing out that we are underestimating Tax Rack.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people in the chat really love the pink prison deck and they love Tax Rack. So I'm just going to say that they're wrong and that deck is terrible. I think Andrew's deck is pretty good.
I love Andrew's deck quite a bit. So Steal Cleansing, no longer going after the mana base here. I think we go after the
now we have to blow up the
rack.
scroll rack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's just kind of where we're at. Now, I'm very curious why there is an untapped diamond. I thought all the because we tapped 2 basic land and a diamond to cast Sea Drake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. This is just weird. What a weird game.
Yeah, this is really super bizarre.
Yeah, like why are we still playing Magic? I feel like something's gone wrong if we're still playing Magic.
I mean, David's combo must really we haven't seen any of the sack outlets. We need one of
David's
9
having
cards.
A lot of mana,
but he has no way to find the sack outlet.
All right, so we've got our. Hey, so if we have a Daze, we can kill the Wall of Roots. That's not very mean. Well, we can't even cast Daze actually the way.
No, we can't.
Mana. So,
all
right, sure. Academy Rector. So I guess we're saying like checkmate. No, we can't kill the Rector. So it's not even like checkmate in one.
No,
we're just kind of setting up.
That's what I'm saying. Like we have no way. Like we've had the Rector for 4 different turns, but we had no way to remove the Rector.
And that the Bone Shredder's in the graveyard. It's important to note that the card Eternal Witness is not in this format, so don't think we can say, let's go get Eternal Witness and that fix all our problems. No, you can't do that.
Every time I build the rock, I'm like, man, this card's missing Eternal Witness, and then I'm like, oh, well, that's because I can't play Eternal Witness.
All right, and Andrew's like, get that nonsense out of here. I'm not here to mess around with these goofy Academy Rectors.
No sack outlet. All right, get out of here.
Yeah. All right, so interestingly, we left the Seal of Cleansing and we didn't blow up the scroll rack right away. So yeah, what a weird game, because this turn Andrew could potentially get their own Seal of Cleansing and blow up the Survival of the Fittest, and then suddenly David's just like got a bunch of mana birds, but they're not.
Notably, he's got 1 activation up, so I'd cash in this squee for another Rector and then cross my fingers.
This is weird. All these activations and nowhere to go.
David taking the long route has given Andrew time to actually draw out of this fairly well. Notably, David let Andrew untap with the scroll rack.
Yeah.
And all these cards in hand. I find that to be perplexing, because we got to land tax an extra time. But oh, you know what? Maybe David's actually saving it to untap and kill Winter Orb. So then
Oh
he gets to
yeah,
untap
yeah. At
his
the end of
mana
the turn,
and
we
win.
blow up the Winter Orb and play a Chroma, and just hope a Chroma like carries across the finish line. I think Andrew's played 2 Swords to Plowshares, so
Yeah.
if a Chroma resolves, it's very likely to just beat Andrew up with this gigantic, angry angel.
Yeah, chat had the
Wow.
same idea. I don't know. I'm just now reading it, so I don't know if you had it first or me, but either way. You can rack between tax activations because
Oh yeah.
taxes go on the stack. And
Trigger.
in between each resolution, you get priority. And if
Alright.
so, you've been messing up. Well, you have the option to not to not rack in between the taxes. You get priority. You are allowed to pass it. But yes, you have that opportunity. I highly recommend you take that. Land tax goes on the stack. It does check to see upon resolution if you have less lands than your opponent. So you can let one resolve, shuffle your library, find some lands, then rack them back into your deck, and then tax them back out and draw a ton of cards.
All right. Well, Andrew, you've got to play with you've got to do all the things. It's time for you to actually translate all these cards we've drawn into something that affects the board. Who cares if you draw
Yes.
20 cards? All right, Meddling Mage. Sure.
Ooh.
That's like bigger than all of David's creatures. Because David has played a bunch of joke magic cards. Yeah, I've got quads, Birds of Paradise. They can't beat up this Meddling Mage.
I mean, this orangutan has something to say, but that's it.
Yeah.
It is bigger than everything. Even Wallaroots dies now.
So, what do we name if we're Andrew?
We also have Crypt. So the Tormod's Crypt will stop a... Yeah, so that did come in. That does stop a Rector, because Rector does have to be in the graveyard when the trigger resolves.
We can fizzle out the combo with
I probably name a Chroma, actually. Well, no, because this is Sealy Cleansing. Sealy Cleansing can still like stop this nonsense. So I think you still have to name Rector.
We seal, and then we pop the Crypt when there's nothing really relevant there. Like, we can't like recur back. Bone Shredder. That's not the end of the world. What are we doing? Blowing. Okay.
The Winter Orb. That makes sense.
So we've got a Chroma in hand.
Yeah, we're just gonna go for a Chroma. I mean, Chroma makes sense, especially if it's not named. Chat's saying Cabal Therapy is a solid name. We haven't seen any all game, except for maybe turn 1. So I think that is a very reasonable name here.
Cabal Therapy. Yeah, that way if a Rector does show up, it won't be able to do anything. So, but now we just have like so much mana. Yeah, we've got 10, 12 mana or something like that. So we could tutor up and cast a Chroma.
Yeah.
Notably, Webb did just get a zillion new cards. So that may not be as
there could be a Force of Will. Yeah, that's a problem. And that makes Cabal Therapy being named a lot more relevant.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I'm David, I've got a Chroma, and I gotta say, does Andrew have it?
This game is just so strange. I just don't understand how we kept playing Magic for so many turns.
Right?
Like what happened? I feel like somehow we should have been able to put this game away, and we just weren't able to get there.
Andrew next leveled all of us with that Winter Orb. Is I think what's happened.
Apparently, Winter Orb was just too good, even though it stopped us from playing our own spells. Like, strange, but possible. And we also have to do something to incentivize the Crypt to get activated. Like, we might want to just throw our Squeet into the yard and see if Andrew takes the bait and pops the Crypt. Because as long as the Crypt is on board, we don't have a way to execute a lot of our combos.
I have a feeling that you're going to have to get 2 Rectors in order for that to happen, because you're going to have to be able to Rector once, force the activation, and then Rector again. And I don't think Rector and Squee...
Okay. Uh-oh. All right.
Whoa.
So,
okay.
No, I think he's just going on manual. You know,
that must be what's named. It must be named with the.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, Rector gets named. We can't do that. So we'll just pitch the Rector and go for a Chroma. A Chroma gets answered maybe, and then in that case, our plan is to raw dog the Recurring Nightmare, which the Crypt definitely slows down considerably.
No, I'm going to grab Palancron. If it's me, I'm grabbing Palancron.
Okay.
Because then I can untap my lands and maybe do it again. and cast a
I mean,
Chroma.
yeah, actually, if we grab Palinchron,
because it stops the Drake,
yeah,
and I'm okay if it
but-
gets countered.
yeah, maybe we're just like,
But,
we're just gonna slam the Angel of Wrath. Chroma, why are you so angry?
Well, I mean, all right, we're gonna take 2 to do this, so we're gonna go down to 6, which is precarious.
Oh, wild.
All right,
Yeah,
and we
Chroma.
have one day's mana, so we do have days available. It resolves.
All right.
Holy moly,
Wow.
chat! The game is
Yeah.
still afoot.
Yeah, so I guess
Okay.
Andrew's just getting like punched out for a bunch of damage here.
David
yeah,
updates
there's
his
no
life
white
with
mana up.
2 mana or 2 life he lost. Okay, so coming across for 9 here, which is a big
No,
chunk
8,
of the life total.
2 plus 6, and the meddling mage.
Oh,
is
that's
trade
right.
off
We
with
didn't
the
talk with the realist.
orangutan. So whatever that meddling mage is naming, I guess it's not relevant anymore.
No,
Or maybe Andrew just didn't want to take 8 damage.
a Chroma is just
reasonable.
more threatening, I think.
This is weird because Andrew's about to get like 7 new cards or something wild like that. So, I
Wow.
feel like some sort of answer to a card. I mean, 2 plows have gone by, so Andrew could just break off.
And
Possible.
he has shown propensity to do that this game. Now we're deeper into the game, so there are more live draws in his deck than not. Look how small his library is.
Yeah.
It looks really small from here. I don't know if he's still searching or like what, but he has seen a lot of cards. Wow. So yeah, I think we're looking for exactly one of our 2 remaining Sword of Plowshares, which Andrew has shown the ability to draw on time. Now, let's say Andrew does draw that. David's going to gain 6.
Well, we're tapping this white mana very confidently,
no.
so that's off the table. And now I think David's out of interesting things to do. I think
we can still cast Palinchron.
Yeah, we can cast a Palinchron.
Which is still bigger than Sea Drake. And even if Andrew attacks, he's going to take 3. No, he's going to take 1 next turn. I lied.
Yeah, like all the power just got like taken off the board.
Yeah, that's fair.
Bizarre game. All right, but Andrew really needs like another creature. Where's our Psychotog? Where's our more Sea Drakes? What do we got?
Psychotog isn't good enough. Psychotog just gets blocked by Squee forever.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Andrew, put a wonder in this deck, pal. Like,
yeah, a single wonder is all you need.
Or a single Shadow Rift. So
make sure Meddling Mages attack too. Like, I think it's totally fine. You can always rack it away when you don't need it.
Yeah. When our deck is full of these weird brainstorm effects, we get to put these questionable, let's say, questionable cards into our deck.
Now, it's funny. We are both telling him how to build his deck, and neither of us are playing in the league. So, take what we say with a grain of salt.
Little Sunday driving.
And it's Forbid. Yeah, a Forbid seems like a sweet card. You're taxing all these lands to your hand.
Pretty sweet. Yeah.
Okay, so we need... What's Palinchron's actual casting cost? Oh, there's
7.
another Meddling Mage.
All right. Well, so much for the Monk Realist beatdown.
Palinchron has a casting cost of 7, including 2 blues. So we have 5. Okay, we absolutely have Palinchron live.
Palinchron, man.
Which is a 4/5 flyer, and Andrew's at 8. So it'll brick the Sea Drake and provide enough pressure to go through. So I think that's plan B right now. Left total's even at 8/8 apiece.
Okay, Andrew's going to discard a bunch of lands.
Now, what do we think? Do we think Andrew named Palinchron off this Meddling Mage?
That'd be pretty awesome if he did. But that
I don't think you can.
Like a singleton. You've got to name Recurring Nightmare or Academy Rector. Like,
yeah.
I guess I don't know that the Crypt really has those cards covered though. The Crypt makes it hard for those cards to execute.
No, I think if you have Nightmare right now just by itself, that's good enough because I think you have enough value that you can cycle in and out of. Because you have the Bone Shredder, and you can just Bone Shredder.
No. Well, you activate the Nightmare, and then response. Andrew says, "I will activate Tormont's Crypt, and you will not get a Bone Shredder."
This is true, but then David has enough mana to Rector.
I mean, but what's the Rector going to get? Another Recurring Nightmare? Like at this point, we already have
sure, but then you can grab a Palinchron potentially, and then actually like go to town. Unless Palinchron's in the hand. Okay, let's see. Let's see what David's
yeah,
gonna do.
the problem we do like cast all these tutors and still haven't won the game. It's very very sad state of affairs.
Well, because this combo doesn't grab every part of the buffalo that you need.
All right, so we're going to get Academy Rector. So I guess that was Meddling Mage last time, and clearly it's not Meddling Mage now. Otherwise, we would not be looking for it.
Well, I mean, who knows? We're gonna okay. Well, definitely we can cast it. Okay,
yeah,
so that's not.
Right, so we're not chanting.
So we
about
named either
Academy
Nightmare
Rectors.
or Palinchron, or the things I can think about, or Sword Splashers. I guess you could name a swords.
Well, I'm okay. Yeah, we can do that after we played our third Swords to Plowshares. That's possible. Yep, nothing to see here, citizens. Both players taking a bunch of game actions and not really doing anything.
Notably, David leaving a bird back to block if needed.
Yeah, good call. Get under the bus, birds. Andrew's gonna shuffle their deck a bunch. People love shuffling. It's really an enjoyable part of the game.
So notably, we could name Deed. Deed could still be in the library.
Ooh, good call. Yeah, we got like wrecked by Pernicious Deed. I mean,
since Deed would really wreck David too. It would get rid of.
I think it would hurt Andrew more. Andrew has more permanents, and Andrew's permanents are like more valuable. Yeah.
Are you willing to lose survival and all of your mana sources?
Yeah, I don't know what to say. We've activated survival so many times and haven't won. Maybe survival is just a bad magic card.
This is true. I don't know if survivals are path to victory anymore.
Doesn't have like relevant text, Sea Drake is rumbling in. Oh, and there were no chump blocks with the bird. That's perfectly fine. Andrew's deck doesn't have direct damage. It's time for more meddling mages.
Oh,
so one of these has got to be recurring nightmare. Palinchron. Name Palinchron for sure because you can't cheat that in, whereas the recurring nightmare you can in some.
You can cheat it in once, so we could cheat the Palinchron in once, but like
no. If we draw the Palinchron, we just discard it to survival and then use a recurring nightmare to get it. So I feel like the meddling mages are kind of meh.
There's got to be one on Cabal Therapy.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So if we have one on Cabal Therapy, then we're on top deck Phyrexian Tower.
Oh, right,
and that's the only way to get rid of to get our recurring nightmare.
So if we're on recurring nightmare recurring nightmare only works once. We can only recurring nightmare once because if it's meddling maged. Unless we bone shred it, which is I guess what we'd have to do.
Yeah, well then that would
trigger the Tormod's Crypt.
Recurring nightmare, we just pop the crypt. I'm like, no, you can't bone shredder me.
And can you imagine how different this dynamic would be if the card Form of the Dragon was in David's library?
Yeah, 75? How sweet would that be? It's awesome, like turning into a big dragon and breathing fire on the peasants and burninating the countryside. That's definitely a good time. What are we doing? Why are we counting our library, our graveyard? What are we checking out here? Only one Force of Will has been played. I find that to be suspicious.
How many cards are left in Andrew's library? Holy moly. That's like 10?
Where are the creatures? Cards? Did we sideboard creatures out? What happened?
Wow.
Yeah, Pernicious Deed would just be the saddest panda ever. So there's no way that we don't have counter magic.
I have to assume these meddling mages are naming the Cabal Therapy.
Therapy and Nightmare.
And Nightmare.
Would be... All right. So
and then I don't think David has a way to do anything.
So discarding Psychotog makes sense because the stupid Academy Rector is just brickwalling creatures on the ground.
Yeah.
The problem is that these Birds of Paradise are gonna start getting under the bus and just give David like a zillion turns to potentially draw some sort of magic card. Not sure what that card would be though. Also, it's notable if David decides to hardcast Palinchron and Andrew just counters it and then crypts David.
Well, also David has to tap his birds too to do this, I think. And so if you just counter it, then you have no blockers and you just die to the Sea Drake and like meddling mages.
Yeah, that's a very relevant point that, once again, that would require information on our part, but on Webb's part. But if Webb knew the deck list, you could just counter the Palinchron and then crypt David. And then there's really nothing left in David's deck. Like David just has a bunch of nonsense,
We have a reflecting pool, which is not Phyrexian Tower,
Nope, wrong special
but we've
land.
got 4 blockers, everybody.
Yeah. David doesn't want to play anymore. David doesn't want to play.
Oh no!
Yeah.
All right.
Andrew's drawing like 6 cards a turn. Odds are something's gonna give. All right, so Andrew might be saying, "Hey, my hand was all like counter magic. Nothing was gonna happen," which made sense. Only one Force of Will have been played. I would have assumed my opponent was on at least one Force of Will plus blue card in the grip.
That is a fine thing if you don't think you can find Phyrexian Tower in time. Knowing your Phyrexian Tower does give you an out, but like even then, it's not really that good of one because he can crypt the graveyard and then
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
okay, let's say we get Phyrexian Tower and we sack our guy, our Rector.
No, we
can just crypt at that point and fizzle the Rector ability.
Yep, and we're done.
So the crypt is kind of blackmailing things. So yeah, that was a really bizarre game. Usually games where we activate survival 4 times are games that we win. And so this is a very odd sequence of events where we just like dirtled around and did nothing. Weird game. And Meddling Mage is great. Meddling Mage, that card is just insane in this format. A lot of the decks are kind of one-trick ponies, like the Enchantress deck, or we were mentioning earlier that there's a Replenish combo deck, and several other decks in this format. Basically, just like Meddling Mage just colds them. Meddling Mage is very powerful. Or even when I played Landstill, I played against played some test games against Andrew's deck, and he was just Meddling Mage Swords to Plowshares, and then my deck would became very, very clunky. So yeah, Meddling Mage is great. That's the real lesson for today.
Yes. Well, that definitely. So Andrew's going to look back at that and watch that, and he's going to hear us saying, "How are you still playing? How are you still playing?" And now he's, he's victorious. So
Andrew laughs last in this scenario. But I just haven't played a lot of games where my opponent activated survival 3 times and didn't kill me. So
right. Well, Andrew's going to pick up that win out of 3 very long games, and advance to 4-0, and put himself in a very good position to make top 8 of our league here, which is cool. Still a good showing from David. He is still 3-1, still very live for top 8. Should be pretty interesting to see what decks kind of bubble up to the top. Sort of as we get towards the end, we tend to feature some of the people with a few losses, just to spice it up a little bit, but also because they're the ones battling for that top 8 position. So we'll see what next week brings.
All right. We definitely had 2 different matches for sure. The Enchantress matchup, the 2 ships kind of passed in the night, except when they suddenly got a bunch of 1/1 creatures. And in both of these matchups, we had some pretty interactive things going on, and both players were doing some very powerful stuff. And we'll definitely see these players later on in the tournament. Well, not definitely, but we're highly likely to see these players again. I definitely think Andrew's deck is very neat. It has a lot of different angles, and some very powerful sideboard options. Enlightened Tutor is really powerful. The Scroll Rack package is really powerful. So neat stuff for sure.
Andrew said that it's the closest thing he can find to playing tempo in this format. And I kind of agree. You kind of have the Drake doing a Delver impression a little bit.
I tried to put together a Threshold with Nimble Mongooses and Werebears. That deck was only so. You still had some of these mana-based issues. And what I will say, though, is the card Mystic Enforcer is a house.
Yes.
The 6/6 pro-black flying creature is actually unbeatable. Several decks in the format just can't beat Mystic Enforcer. It's just too big.
The Rock does not like that card.
Yeah, the rest of the deck was kind of mediocre. But I might come back to Threshold at some later point. Because you know what you get to put in Threshold? Mox, Diamonds, and Meddling Mages. Because that's really good. The green creatures, I'm not so sure. But these Mox Diamonds are great. So do we have anything else? We're about to close out for the evening there.
We
Robert?
Are good. We are fine. Everybody, thanks for tuning in with us and sticking with us all the way through. We do have that time change. We're probably going to keep that next week and through the rest of the league. So tune in next week, 8 p.m. Central. We'll have more Magic for you as we bring you round 5 of our 6-round league. Otherwise, that's it. Have a good night.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Bye.